The Brotherhood's history is drenched in blood. It was spawned and inspired groups like Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Now, Congress can designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist entity. This designation act would finally name the Brotherhood for what it is and disrupt its financial networks. Contact your representatives, senators, ask them to support this bill. I'm Michael Youssef.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Back when the government was suppressing other forms of therapy for COVID and many doctors were being persecuted for stepping up, we felt the absolute necessity to act. That's why I developed Virago during the pandemic, to give people a powerful way to strengthen their immune system and fight back. Since then, feedback from users has shown us that Virago helps with so much more than what we originally anticipated, bringing relief and improvement to people dealing with allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases by supporting a healthy immune function. Join me Friday, August 28th at Seanfest. Tune in or come by and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot, for a conversation you won't want to miss.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks, security under your control.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
Alex Marlow cuts through the political spin on the Alex Marlow podcast.
The economics of illegal immigration is so dumb. It's so stupid for Americans. We want American dollars to stay in America. That's how the economy grows. But if I pay an illegal alien and they send 50% of it home, the money doesn't go to American businesses, it goes to another country. Why do we want that? It's a race to the far left Islamist wing of the party.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country: free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd, for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd Anniversary Benefit Dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. There will be a passing shower in the morning, followed by a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas late this afternoon. Gusty winds may accompany any downpours. The high will reach 84 degrees. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and remembering Dolly Parton. She's definitely worth remembering, iconic. I mean, I know that's not Jolene, it's not I Will Always Love You, but I think 9 to 5 might have been my first recognition of Dolly Parton. I'm trying to think back, those many years ago, to my childhood. But, with it wasn't the song, it was the song in the context of the movie with her, Dabney Coleman, Lillian Tomlin, the obnoxious Jane Fonda, unfortunately. Dolly Parton passed away yesterday at the age of 80 after a brief bout with cancer, according to family members. Bob Greene had a good piece on her in the Wall Street Journal. That voice, 5 seconds, maybe 6, that's all it took the first time you heard her voice to understand. 5 seconds, and you knew you'd be listening to her forever. Big Dolly Parton fan. And she was, very talented, above and beyond the, as she would call it, overdone. And again, humble beginnings, and that humility remained. She did pretty good. I mean, you get an amusement park named after you, you're doing pretty good, I think. I think that's the standard. She was a pretty shrewd business person, too, in terms of keeping her publishing rights and so forth, that vastly increased her net worth and her ability to give back. Story circulating I saw yesterday online. In 1988, Dolly Parton pulled every 7th and 8th grader in Sevier County into a room and told them to pick a buddy. She made them sign a contract. If both graduate, she would hand each of them $500. If one fails, nobody gets paid. The county dropout rate went from 35% to 6%, and she handed out the checks herself. In 1989, she offered $500 to every kid in the county who wanted to go to the local college. When Gatlinburg burned in 2016, she sent 900 families $1,000 a month for 6 months. So, even though she was perhaps more garish than the tastes of some, there was a lot to her. And this interview that she gave with Barbara Wawa back in 1977, very interesting. I mean, it's sort of incredible, the question she asked. But it's just a reminder that the D.C. press corps has been haughty and classless for a long, long time preceding Donald Trump.
And as far as my outlook on life and the way I care about people and the way I care about myself and the things that I care about. But I just chose to do this, and show business is a money-making joke, and I just always liked telling jokes,
But do you ever feel that you're a joke, that people make fun of you?
Oh, I know they make fun of me. But actually, all these years, the people, has thought the joke was on me, but it's actually been on the public. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can change it at any time. Or I make more jokes about myself than anybody, because I enjoy it. I know, like I say, I am sure of myself as a person. I'm sure of my talent. And to me, and I'm sure of my love and for life and that sort of thing, I'm very content. I like the kind of person that I am.
She was also asked, would you call yourself a hillbilly? Barbara Walters asked that. Would you call yourself a hillbilly? And she took it in stride, despite the patronizing way in which the question was posed. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Allie was on Johnny Carson, and they were having fun with each other, and Johnny looked down and he said, I'd give a year's pay to see what's in there.
Hi-oh. Yeah. She was also asked about her figure by Barbara Walters, which was uncomfortable, too. The cabin, this is all circulating, the cabin, it's worth checking out, and Wokeness posted it, that X feed. The cabin that she grew up in with 11 siblings, no electricity or water. How not that far removed we are from that America. 11 siblings, and you see the picture of where they lived without electricity and water. She passed away, by some estimates, worth more than $650 million, and that's after she donated an estimated $500 million to charities in a very personal way, like some of those anecdotes I shared. All right, let's check the headlines with Mike Scott, that is.
5:30 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. Outside, we have some clouds and a few light rain showers crossing the area. NIPSCO says it hopes to have power restored in northwest Indiana to all customers this morning, more than 2 weeks after severe storms caused widespread outages across the region. According to NIPSCO's own count, over 600 remain without power this morning. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office is still working to identify more than 50 decomposing bodies found earlier this month at a Chicago funeral home. The bodies discovered August 8 at South Chicago Chapel. At least 47 have been fully identified. 2 of 3 former St. Viator High School graduates accused of sexually assaulting a classmate at a graduation party last summer are due in court today for a status hearing. The 3 recent Viator graduates are charged with criminal sexual assault connected with the June assault. One suspect remains in the custody of the DuPage County Sheriff, while 2 others were granted pre-trial release. A private group has proposed express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office downtown. But many cost and infrastructure questions remain unanswered.
repurposing existing freight lines that are unused or largely unused in order to create a dedicated track that will get you from downtown to O'Hare in 15 minutes reliably every time.
CEO Dave Lundy, business and railroad executives, along with engineers and a few service providers, are behind the O'Hare Flyer. The group said Tuesday that battery electric trains will use existing right-of-way corridors and reduce the travel time between the airport and downtown to about 15 minutes. The group reached an agreement already with CSX and Canadian National Lines. Mayor Brandon Johnson says the proposal is a healthy response to the Chicago he is trying to build.
We cannot continue to govern by searching for loose change in the couch, or every time that there's a budget challenge, we revert back to proclivities that have caused tremendous harm to working people in this city.
Meantime, the O'Hare Flyer Group says it's not seeking any government subsidies or funding that could otherwise go to RTA, regional transit agencies. Meantime, Mayor Johnson says his administration has identified a way to close its budget shortfall for the current fiscal year. Mayor says the city is trying to refinance eligible bonds to save up to $71 million without increasing debt cost and sweeping up and using the city's remaining taxpayer-provided COVID funds. Jeff Lawrence authored a recent Reason Foundation report that issued red flags based on the city's financial health metrics.
Chicago exceeds the thresholds on 7 of those 8 measures and almost all 8 of them.
Last month, the mayor's budget office projected a $130 million budget gap. Johnson claimed Tuesday that deficit was only $85.1 million. Indiana State Police troopers have captured an escaped inmate. The man got away during a custody transfer with federal police in Burns Harbor. He escaped from the agent's vehicle when they were westbound on I-94 and ran north. Indiana State Police caught him after a 5-hour search in a nearby swamp. That man's name has not been released. Measles cases in southwest Wisconsin continue to increase at a rapid rate. The latest update from the Wisconsin Department of Health says the number now stands at 61. And there's a stadium rock and roll presence at Chicago's Field Museum this morning. The science showcase is showing off a new snake species, Lelapis slashii, from New Guinea, discovered by its lead reptile expert, Sarah Ruane. She is a lifelong Guns N' Roses fan, so Ruane named the reptile after its guitarist, Slash. By the way, scientists say she ran the idea for naming the snake past the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer himself before the nocturnal, 28-inch long, reddish-brown reptile was officially identified. Chicago sports, Cubs crumble in the late innings in a 5-4 loss to the Diamondbacks. White Sox outslugged the Rangers 11-7. Sox only 2.5 up on Cleveland. They've now won 8 of 10. The NFL preseason winding down. Week 3 kicks off tomorrow. Bears practice with the Titans tomorrow in Nashville and wrap up exhibition play Saturday. Right tackle Darnell Wright left Hallis Hall practice early yesterday with an apparent elbow injury. And it's win or go home at the Little League World Series today, beginning with elimination games, Mexico and Japan. The news, a service of Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. Long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop, powered by Series 3 Intel Core processors, so you can work from anywhere. Now, $699 with exclusive student pricing from $599. Find PCs built for you at Dell.com/deals. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and in 2 minutes, we'll have our AccuWeather forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Be a part of the Freedom Chamber Meet and Greet, an evening to connect with pro-American business owners, leaders, and members of our community. Join the Freedom Chamber team and network with local members on Thursday, September 10th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. at Shannon's Deli in Lombard. Enjoy drinks, snacks, conversation, and a special tribute to our friend, Charlie Kirk. Space is limited, so register for free today at 560theanswer.com/chamber.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5400 to schedule a free consultation.
It's hard to deny the constant attack of negative emotions that flood us online. The fear, anxiety, worry, and confusion that come from the constant stream of news and social media can be overwhelming. There is a way to escape this never-ending cycle and find peace, hope, and joy in your daily life. Christianity.com, with a wide range of daily devotionals, biblical answers to life's toughest questions, and insightful Bible study articles from your favorite pastors and authors on current events and issues, Christianity.com provides a little heaven on earth. Go to Christianity.com now.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be humid with a mix of clouds and sun. There will be a passing shower in the morning, followed by a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas late this afternoon. Gusty winds may accompany any downpour. The high will reach 84 degrees. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas. Best beans, best roast, best coffee. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Freedom Summit Chicago returns to the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 10th. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just a short postscript on Dolly Parton. We were remembering the passing of the legendary Dolly Parton. A piece in the Free Press by Hannah Long, who is from Appalachia. I don't know if she's, how close she was to Little Pigeon River in that one-room cabin that I was mentioning Dolly Parton and her 10 brothers and sisters grew up in without electricity or running water. Incredible. But Hannah Long writes, to Appalachians like me, this was something like the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Dolly was an icon, a figurehead, a spiritual grandmother. She lived up to the comparison, giving back to the community through initiatives like her Imagination Library charity, which has distributed millions of free books to children, or by partially funding the Moderna COVID vaccine. Well, I know that was well intended, if nothing else. That's interesting. I didn't know that. She goes on to talk about what I referenced, Dollywood. Huge tourism draw for the impoverished communities of eastern Tennessee, and Dolly Parton fans from all over the world. Picture Disney World with more Jesus. I haven't gotten it. I've been by Dollywood, but I didn't stop. Maybe next time. Nick on the Northwest Side.
Yeah, a belated welcome back. So nice to have you back. One thing that Dolly Parton once answered, as only she could, when she was asked, do you have any ambitions to be in Washington, D.C., in politics? She said, well, there are enough boobs in Washington, D.C. already.
Hi-oh.
If you get it. She did say that. Okay.
That's good. Well, that's what Hannah Long writes about her charm. One of the last truly unifying pop culture figures in America, equally beloved by Baptist church ladies and buxom drag queens. That is pretty wide range, I'll tell you. And she's not wrong. And this was that portion of the interview from '77 with the detestable Barbara Wawa that I was referencing earlier.
Dolly, where I come from, would I have called you a hillbilly?
If you had of, it would have been something very natural,
because
but
you're
I
a
would have
bitch.
probably kicked your shins or something. No, actually.
But when I think of hillbillies, am I thinking of your kind of people?
I think you probably are. The people that grew up where I was were the ones that you would consider the little Abner people, Daisy Mae and that sort of thing. They took that kind of thing from people like us, but we were very proud people with a lot of class. It was country class, but it was a great deal of class. And most of my people were not that educated, but they are very, very intelligent. Good common sense, horse sense, we called it.
Dolly, did you look like this when you were a kid?
Yeah, and then she goes into the, her presentation. She talked too about her father, who was not an educated man, but worked very hard and was an example. She watched him and sort of his work ethic, and she took the music from her mom's side, the musical sensibilities from her mom's side, and the work ethic from her dad's side, and that's what inspired Dolly Parton to become Dolly Parton. It's pretty interesting story, pretty incredible life, no question. Okay, for something completely different, people who don't work 9 to 5, let's talk about another member of the Illinois General Assembly. This is who you're sending to Springfield. We just got done dealing with that lout Benton from Plainfield, who, whatever he did, and do we still have a full accounting for it? Are we ever going to get a full accounting of it? He got pushed out by the speaker after he slow-walked it as long as he could. I'm talking about Chris Welch. And despite the controversy over how he characterized the person that came forward and said Harry Benton was sexually harassing me and so forth, she wanted us to wait. No, I didn't want you to wait. I wanted you to do something. Okay, we finally did something. And, of course, without the existence of an opposition party, these things just dissipate into the ether. But we'll give it a try anyway. So now we got another one. Murray Briel is her name, and she's a state rep from the LaSalle, Peru area. A former L.A. for her legislative aide. They're calling her chief of staff. These legislators don't have staffs. They have like 2 people. It's just a legislative aide. Although maybe, I don't know, these days, who knows? Maybe they do. Her name is Laura Jackson, and she's come forward to talk about an office culture in State Rep Murray Briel's office. Murray Briel's a woman. That included drug use and sexual harassment. The noblemen and magistrates that you send to Springfield, Illinois electorate, Another edition. Here's Laura Jackson. This is an extended interview that was posted, like 40 minutes long. It was a bit redundant. It was a bit stilted. You know, Laura Jackson, I'm not really feeling Laura Jackson as sort of a hero in this story, but I also find what she had to say to be believable. The office culture, State Representative Murray Briel.
A lot of things were going on in the office. There was a lot of drug use, a lot of alcohol, which that mixed together with the dynamics of poor leadership, just talking very, very badly to staff. I worked with a colleague who she would pat him on the head and call him her mediocre white man, and he would actually stick his tongue out like a dog. And so that is what it was like working for her.
On the alleged drug abuse, Laura Jackson, Murray Briel, she's a Dem socialist. She her calling card is that she's like she I think terms herself the first neurodivergent member of the General Assembly. Okay.
Describe a little bit about what sort of drug abuse was going on in her office, in Representative Briel's office.
Inside of the actual office after she was elected, we smoked a lot of marijuana. She would give bonuses in marijuana up to 2 ounces that she would drive back from Michigan. That and a lot of drinking inside of the office. However, before that, during campaign, there was a lot of extreme Adderall use. I take accountability on my part of taking it, but there was also a supply of unlimited Adderall to keep us going through that campaign.
There's more on whether she ever witnessed her boss, State Representative Murray Briel, under the influence while working, whatever that looks like.
Yes, I did witness Representative Briel on several occasions working high as a public official, including holding meetings in her office after smoking marijuana.
Explains a lot.
Do you think Representative Briel knows that smoking marijuana to excess or even smoking marijuana in the office is inappropriate?
Yes, I believe that Representative Briel is well aware that her behavior was inappropriate. In fact, she would use things to kind of try to hide it, including covering up the bottom of the door with a stopper so that no one else would smell it.
Now you know, at least have some idea why we get the public policies we get, because everybody's doped up. Did she get the dope for free from Connected Marijuana Dispensary while we're on the topic? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. You know, that was an area that was once represented by Republicans. Our colleague John Anthony. Oh, that's not all. I mentioned the sexual harassment piece at the beginning. Here's the allegations surrounding that.
So even in the campaign, I was talked about like I wasn't even a part of the campaign. I was referred to as her prize after. I was told several times in a joking manner that I would be her prize sexually after she won the campaign. But then it was just constant from there. Even after getting into office, every day I would hear comments about how I needed an older woman lover, you know, just constant things like that, constantly talking about my appearance. It was probably every day that I talked to her, there was something about me that was sexualized, to the point that on the night of inauguration, I stood in front of her with tears in my eyes and said that I wish that she would see me as something more than just my looks and just physically.
How did she respond?
She just laughed.
Well, I almost threw up. But okay, not exactly D.H. Lawrence. This is a story for the erudite among us. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. You starting to pick up when I'm laying down about the quality of the people that we all send, or I used to be part of the we, you all send to Springfield? It has long been basically a den of iniquity, the Capitol, which is why I spent as little time there as I could, even when I was working for a legislative leader back in my youth. But the opportunity this presents, at least, to, I don't know, hold people to account on the other side that ran around at the height of the Me Too, leveraging it for cheap political points, even knowing that they live in a big glass house called the state capitol, or at least work there. A predatory lesbian pothead. I don't think that'll be on Murray Briel's walk card this cycle, but that seems to be what we got, or what you got down there in LaSalle, Peru. Is that representative of LaSalle, Peru values? What in God's name? Roger in DeKalb.
Hey, Dan. I live in DeKalb. She's my representative thanks to the redistricting. And DeKalb County already had a nut job lefty, and she ran against her. And I thought there was no way. But because Ottawa is really nutty union, and you can't believe what Ottawa's like.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife worked at NIU. Democrats send, a stack of mailers every week. So we get these hideous things. From the first one I got, I looked at her and I thought, oh, it's 3-pack a day Muriel. She might have been 45, but it looks like she smoked 3 packs a day all her life. And she's just a brutal, gross woman. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear all this coming out about her.
Yeah, don't send your daughters on a camping trip to Starved Rock with Murray Briel, if you know what I mean, Roger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for the call.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
You're probably listening to this in your car, so let me ask you. Would you drive without insurance? Of course not. So why is your retirement portfolio unprotected? Gold is portfolio insurance. It helps de-risk your savings when markets get unpredictable. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of Americans do exactly that with no high-pressure sales and thousands of 5-star reviews. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making any investment decisions.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The
Answer. Predatory lesbian. Text from 312. Predatory lesbian pothead. I was talking about State Representative Murray Briel, and based on the accusations of her former LA, that's a fair characterization if those allegations are true. Predatory lesbian pothead sounds like a Grateful Dead tribute band who played at Lilith Fair. Kind of. Yeah, could have. Text from 262, being in political office sounds like a bunch of guys being stupid on a golf trip, tomfoolery and steroids. Yeah, less entertaining. Oh, and by the way, yeah, they're, lawmakers. You wonder why this is the worst governed state in American history. By the way, she does, Muriel Briel, fit the characterization that Roger from DeKalb mentioned. She looks like she's like, been a waitress at a truck stop for the last 40 years. Anyway, I also understand from Mike Scott that she got to $50,000 from Pritzker last go around. Yeah, of course. I mean, how else is she going to pay for all the pot and Adderall that she's distributing to staff and volunteers, allegedly? Now, somebody else texted in, 847 texted in, why did this Laura Jackson, this whistleblower, former legislative aide, why did she stay if she was being said, if she was being told that she was going to be the sexual prize for the representative upon her electoral victory? Well, you know the rap, you know how it goes. I believed. I mean, don't forget, this Laura Jackson is a leftist. She's awful too. Oh, I believed in her policies, which were what exactly? Okay, So I believed, I thought we were going to do good work. I thought maybe it would subside. I told her I was uncomfortable at the inauguration. She laughed, and then she still stayed. I needed the job. You know all the things. She doesn't exactly answer that question. And frankly, I sort of, faded after watching about 25 minutes of this very ham-handed interview that was way too drawn out. You just, 5 minutes to get to the gist of the story is all that is really required. But the bottom line is it's something akin to what you hear, which can be legitimate. I stayed for as long as I could until I couldn't stay anymore, until I couldn't tolerate it anymore. That's more or less what she indicates. Like I said, I'm not absolving her of responsibility. And to be fair, she's not absolving herself of responsibility either for some of the choices that she made. But as I said, knowing what I know about Springfield and the types of people that the Illinois electorate likes to send down there, I find her to be believable. The allegations are too specific and too fantastical, frankly, to not be believed, particularly in the context of Illinois politics. All right, coming up at 6:06, let's talk a little bit about some of the moves that the Trump administration is making with respect to border security and the ongoing removal of people in this country illegally. Not being talked about enough. 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Darlene did it big time. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. Trump-backed Darlene Graham advances to the general election in South Carolina to compete for a full-term U.S. Senate seat previously held by her brother, the late Lindsey Graham. She won about 53% of the vote in the Republican primary runoff, and during her victory speech, slammed her Democratic opponent.
My Democratic opponent, Dr. Annie Andrews, is the most radical liberal ever nominated for a statewide office by the South Carolina Democratic Party.
South Carolina is a tough state for Democrats to win, but they believe the race could become more competitive as President Trump's approval rating continues to fall. The president ordered flags to fly at half-staff for a week to honor Dolly Parton, who died from cancer yesterday at age 80. Nephew says she will never be forgotten.
Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest.
The world is
Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly.
The world is remembering Dolly for her music and the vast ways she gave back, including her Imagination Library, which has given millions of free books to kids. President Trump levels a new warning at Iran about keeping the Strait of Hormuz safe. Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Tel Aviv on the president's Truth Social post.
The president posted, "I've just been informed by the United States Navy that all mines have been removed and or detonated from within the international waters of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been notified that any ship or boat placing new mines will be immediately and systematically destroyed."
And crude oil is down 2.5% at this hour at $80.23 a barrel. America's listening to Fox News.
A little warmer this morning, 70 degrees. We've seen some clouds and some light rainfall crossing the area. In the QC Kinetics newsroom this morning, NIPSCO says it hopes to have power restored in northwest Indiana to all customers this morning. The company says storms 2 weeks ago caused the worst damage in company history, knocking out power to 375,000 customers. This morning, just over 600 remain without power. A private group has proposed express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office downtown. But many cost and other infrastructure questions remain unanswered.
This is going to be a 15-minute express train using battery electric technology, whisper quiet trains that will get you from downtown near the old post office to O'Hare.
CEO Dave Lundy says business and railroad executives and some engineers are behind the O'Hare Flyer, and they already have agreements with CSX and Canadian National rail providers using mostly unused track. Mayor Brandon Johnson says the proposal is a healthy response to the Chicago he's trying to build.
Using more forms of green technology to protect our atmosphere, and then do it in a way in which we can create jobs and move people through our city.
Measles cases in southwest Wisconsin continuing to increase rapidly. Wisconsin Department of Health says the number now stands at 61 and climbing. 3 people were arrested after nearly 1,200 pounds of khat were confiscated at O'Hare last week. Federal authorities yesterday said 2 travelers from Senegal were inspected before they joined another flight to LaGuardia in New York. Now, khat is an illegal stimulant people can chew on or drink in a tea for an amphetamine type of high. Cubs crumble in the late innings in a 5-4 loss to the Diamondbacks, while the White Sox outslugged the Rangers 11-7 at home. Tristan Peters reached base 5 times, along with a home run. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both, limited commercials, subscribe free. 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Scott Jennings doesn't see normal behavior.
Now in Michigan, we've discovered that U.S. Senate candidate and socialist Abdul El Sayed wants to get rid of the 4th of July. You have to ask yourself, why would someone want to cancel the 4th of July? Well, there's only one real reason: because they hate America. Yes, folks, the quest for Democrats to just act normal has hit another major speed bump.
The Scott Jennings Show, weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 2001, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like U.S. Army Sergeant William Bernard McKenna, exposed to burn pits. McKenna later died from T-cell lymphoma, leaving his wife, Dina, and 2 daughters. Tunnel to Towers honored Sergeant McKenna. They paid off the family's mortgage in honor of all of his sacrifice. Donate $11 a month. If you have a car to donate, if you have land to donate, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org today.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for his protection, his comfort, and his peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
6:07 and a check on the early morning roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Stop and go outbound on the Kennedy Hubbard Street Tunnel all the way out to Ontario. Stevenson, inbound jammed up Harlem Avenue to Kedzie. Lakeshore Drive, stop and go northbound right at Bryn Mawr this morning. And an accident being cleared in Carroll Stream, Army Trail, and County Farm Roads. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and up next, a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be humid with a mix of clouds and sun. There will be a passing shower in the morning, followed by a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas late this afternoon. Gusty winds may accompany any downpour. The high will reach 84 degrees. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I'm still sort of smarting over that Jesse Waters interview of Abdul El-Sharia the other day that we talked about yesterday. In part, the back and forth they had about ICE, where the left is relentless, and this is a good illustration of the difference. The left is just relentless in demagoguing ICE, continuing to say ICE is disappearing people, ICE is indiscriminately shooting Americans in the back of the head. You know, they're a death squad. Continuing to mau ICE, demonize federal law enforcement officers as the enemy of a free people. And the Trump administration, and it's not just their responsibility, has sort of trailed off in the messaging here. I've also seen a trailing off with Senate candidates, you know, these key Senate races. Maybe less so House candidates, not as much profile around the country. And this seems to me a mistake. This is something where you need to be as relentless on the messaging as they are, and not in the generic terms about surging ICE officers there, or we've gone from 1,500 arrests a day to 2,000 arrests a day. We had 50,000 in the month of July. Not the data, the stories, the human impact stories. This should be every day. Like they did a couple of times at press conferences, like White House press briefings, where Caroline Leavitt would roll through a series of headshots and provide the thumbnail on the person in this country illegally who harmed other people and was captured by ICE and is now being removed. The people that the other side let in indiscriminately, even as they feign support for removing them now. They don't support it. They favor the same indiscriminate policies today that they favored when Joe Biden was executing them. Cannot be said enough. I understand people have legitimate economic security concerns, and those need to be addressed. But part of the message needs to be the first responsibility, as politicians always say, but I mean to those people who are not focused on this because you're not plying them with content on a regular basis like we need to. My first responsibility to you, John Q. constituent, is to ensure your public safety. And look at what we're doing on that front so that you don't become, or your family doesn't become, another cautionary or tragic tale of a lost loved one to a preventable crime if we just were serious about removing people who pose public safety threats. The other side is messaging their narrative. CBS News yesterday about said surge.
They are under tremendous political pressure from the White House and people like Stephen Miller, one of the president's top advisors, to expand immigration enforcement and to record up to 2,000 daily arrests. Historically, under Republican and Democratic administrations, most ICE arrests have occurred in local jails, state and federal prisons, away from the public's view, Tony. But to enforce President Trump's dramatic crackdown on illegal immigration, which is not just targeting criminal, egregious offenders, more ICE agents are being placed on the streets of American towns and cities to make arrests in broad daylight, in public. That is a strategy, Tony, that is more likely to create the dangerous and often tragic situations we have seen here in Houston and also in Maine.
So, Camila, let's talk about tactics as they pursue these arrests. In some cases,
so that is exactly 180 degrees off, and needs to be addressed again and again. I know Tom Homan has addressed it ad nauseum for years now. But they're still saying the same thing. That's something that, Trump and others need to address straight away, in part because if you start to have, especially the president, address it, then it necessarily becomes something that will be addressed by all the talking heads, the chattering classes on cable news. It's something that'll go back and forth. We need back and forth, and we need the most influential spokesman on the topic, that would be President Trump, to instigate that back and forth because we win on the issue. And legitimately, people need to be focused on it because it's serious. What did the CBS News flack say? They're going to surge resources, so that necessarily means they're going to do it in the streets in public, and that's where things get dangerous, as if ICE is making things dangerous. When we know what the fact is, that they're surging in mainly sanctuary jurisdictions where they have to do things on the streets because local officials won't cooperate and allow them to work within the system to have access to the courts and the jails to notify, to honor ICE detainers so it can be done more peacefully for all parties involved in the context of a prison, for example, and the security a prison affords. It's the sanctuary pals that are making this more dangerous for all parties concerned, not the federal law enforcement officers, as CBS News reported. But you have to say it again and again and again. You have to correct the record again and again and again. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. It's like these stories. NBC News. You heard from CBS, you heard from NBC. Veteran who served 3 tours in Iraq War facing possible deportation. We're deporting veterans? That Trump, it's unconscionable. Right. Oh, and then you get past the headline, which most people don't. He has an extensive criminal history. After his service. He spent years in prison on various felony drug and weapons convictions, as well as violations of probation in both Virginia and California. And, mom chalks it up to PTSD. And I don't know, the guy, maybe that's a part of it. But in terms of being in this, not legitimately being in this country, and then committing crimes, an extensive criminal record, as I just described, that produces a little bit different context to the story than just the headline, veteran who served 3 tours in Iraq, facing possible deportation, doesn't it? But if you don't correct the record, that's the impression that's left. And this gets bandied about, and people's understanding of what's happening and why it's happening completely distorted. The last 2 weeks, a snapshot. The last 2 weeks in this country. Union County, North Carolina, illegal alien killed by police after prowler call. Harris County, Texas, illegal alien arrested for murder of teen. Miami-Dade County, Florida, illegal alien arrested for murder. New York City, illegal alien blamed for death of mother and child. Bucks County, Pennsylvania, illegal alien arrested for girlfriend's murder. Limestone County, Alabama, man on detainer arrested for shooting into home. Fairfax, Virginia, illegal alien arrested for woman's murder. Dallas County, Texas, man on detainer arrested for beating of a guard. Marion County, Indiana, man on detainer arrested for kidnapping woman. Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, 2 illegal aliens arrested for armed robbery. Duval County, Florida, 4 illegal aliens arrested for man's murder. Bay County, Florida, illegal alien arrested for stabbing 2. Jackson County, Missouri, man on detainer arrested for roommate's murder. Marion County, Indiana, 3 men on detainers charged in armed robbery. Hall County, Georgia, illegal alien arrested for attempted rape of a teen. And on and on and on. And every story should be told in every locality and then amplified by the National Republican Party and the Trump administration on the substance of it. How about CWB Chicago? 5 migrants from Chicago, charged with Indianapolis jewelry store heist, Trende Aragua ties alleged. You know, we're 5 years, 6 years into the consequences of open borders policies. And because, they're not meandering in the streets around the Standard Club or sleeping in police stations, everything is fine now. The Trump administration is making a lot of plays here that should be noticed and discussed so it penetrates the consciousness of the public. Marco Rubio, in addition to this, what will be a court fight over upwards of 200,000 visa revocations, he's also pausing the issuance of visas so that staff can be trained in terms of making assessments about people who are seeking visas and whether or not they can live independently, making an assessment about whether or not they're going to be able to live independently or they granted a visa. Marco Rubio on the topic.
Allowed to visit your country should reflect the national interest. We said that from the very beginning. It was one of the directives that we got from the president. It's one of the things he ran on. And so our visa process basically is, now there are some times we'll deny people visas because of activities they've undertaken overseas. Other times it's people that have visas but are in the United States doing things that run counter to our national interest. And the law gives us the right, and in fact, I would argue the obligation to remove people like that from our country. And we're going to continue to do it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, sometimes somebody comes in and says, I want to come in as a student. They're here as a student, and then once they're here, they're involved in nefarious activity. We're going to remove them from the country. But maybe they're here as a researcher. Maybe they're here as, I don't want to say journalist because you guys will get upset, but, it could be anything. These are visitors to the country. A visa is a visitor. It's not a right. By the way, we deny visas every day all over the world. People will go to an embassy, they'll sit for an interview, and the consular officer will deny them a visa because of something that came up in their record, because of something that came up in their interview, whatever it may be. So if you have the power to deny someone a visa before they get one, you most certainly have the power to revoke it once they get one and then do something they shouldn't be doing.
So on the visa issue, including overstaying visas, that it's always, we've always focused on the border, people coming over from the border. What about people who overstay their visas? Yeah. And what's the response always been? Yeah, we should look at both. Yeah. Most of illegal immigration, or at least it was once upon a time before Biden opened the borders completely, was overstaying of visas. Right. Well, we'll do something about it. I completely agree. Temporary protected status is supposed to be temporary. So is a student visa supposed to be temporary. You're no longer a student. or work visa. Now, if you no longer qualify under the rules of those visa programs, then yes, you need to be moved back to your country of origin. Oh, college is too expensive. Yeah, right. Affordability and the intersection here. How about the affordability and in the intersection just in terms of the expenditure of public resources to deal with this unbridled, unvetted, open borders immigration policies of the 4 years preceding Trump? What about all the benefits being conferred, including in-state tuition discounts for people living in states like Illinois in this country illegally? The Trump administration is going after them, going after the states, saying that you can't do that. Not if these institutions are accepting federal dollars. We have some say in that. Not if you want to accept federally subsidized student loans. We have some say in that. This needs to be amplified, talked about routinely, layered in on a daily basis with what is being done against the scope of the problem that has been inflicted upon us by the open borders identitarian left. You really want to reverse course on this topic? Because that's what you're going to do if you turn over Congress to that DSA-addled party. How about the consequences now with sort of mass unvetted immigration, even people in this country under color of law? Maybe some need to not only to have, there's a category of needing to have their category of people needing to have their visas revoked. How about people needing to be denaturalized when they gain legal status here on a fraudulent basis, or act as a subversive to this country's interests, as Marco Rubio was referencing? The status of that Somali population, the Somalis built Boston, they built Minneapolis, St. Paul, they built America. Joe Fletcher is the Ramsey County Sheriff in Minnesota, talking about the Minnesota State Fair and the problem he has with Somali gangs.
We've had gangs coming to the Minnesota State Fair for 30, 40 years. But they've always agreed the fair is neutral ground. And let's all go have fun and respect the fairgrounds. I've been here for many, many years, but we've never had threats of violence like we're having from the Somali gangs. Well, we will have Karen gangs, we'll have some Hmong gangs here, we'll have some, extremists on the right here. But none of them are promising chaos except for the Somali gangs.
When you don't have a segment of that community frauding the public coffers, you have them, a segment of that community, the community, preying on law-abiding citizens. So if you want that to be the new normal, then go back to the people that were in charge prior to Trump 2.0. I'd like to see some messaging in that direction with more regularity.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Don't you love summer in Chicago? But I bet you hate painting year after year, so do what your neighbor Rich did. He called Rhino Shield.
Aluminum siding built in 1961. It also had a lot of stains, and it was white, and we wanted to change the color.
And Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty and is formulated specifically for our unique climate here in Chicago.
We're told that it's hard to paint aluminum siding and get a good adhesion with regular paint, so Rhino Shield was great.
And just in time for summer Chicago, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
They came on a Saturday and power washed everything all around the house, And then they came back and did all the work on Monday and Tuesday. And in 2 full days, they worked on a Monday and were completely done by Tuesday.
This offer is for a limited time, so call now, 847-850-1132, 847-850-1132, or ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
Go Rhino Shield!
Well, the experts did their best with this season's flu vaccine, but the virus mutated and the vaccine could not keep up. But here is the truth. The most powerful defense against viruses isn't something man-made. It is the God-given immune system that you were born with. And the best immune system booster that I, Scott Jennings, know of is Virago. Virago. It is a liquid immune enhancement supplement featuring 23 potent nutraceuticals working synergistically to enhance your immune system against assaults. Trust the design that God gave you and strengthen your body's immune system with Virago, the ultimate immune enhancement cocktail. Order it online today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code Jennings to save 30%. Myvirago.com. Coupon code Jennings saves you 30%.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:36 in our continuing effort to talk to the Chicago mayoral candidates who want to talk to me. George Cardenas, he's a former Chicago alderman. He is a present member of the Cook County Board of Review. Ooh, property taxes, my favorite. And candidate for mayor, George Cardenas, joins us at 6:36. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan, thank you. Good morning, everyone. 6:30 in the QC Kinetics newsroom, 69 degrees. NIPSCO says it hopes to have power restored to all Northwest Indiana customers this morning, more than 2 weeks after storms caused widespread outages in Northwest Indiana. This morning, about 600 remain without power. Former presidents are paying respect to country music legend Dolly Parton, who died Tuesday after a battle with cancer. Her nephew, Brian Seaver, announced the news.
Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens.
Her husband, Carl Dean, a husband of 60 years, passed away last year. Former Presidents Clinton, Obama, Bush, and President Trump all issued statements praising the impact the singer had on society, culture, and music. American Pie singer and songwriter Don McLean played often with Parton and knew something was special early on when he met her on the road.
Nobody knew who she was, and I thought, wow, she's not only beautiful, but she's so talented. And, who knew that she'd develop into this gigantic star.
In a 2024 interview, Dolly was asked to give advice to folks who feel like they may be struggling and down on the state of the world.
I think people get too caught up in all the bad things that's going on in this world, and they're failing to look around that there's still a whole lot of good.
A University of Massachusetts poll from this spring ranked Dolly Parton the most beloved figure in the United States. Senator Darling Graham is the winner of the GOP Senate primary runoff in South Carolina.
People are moving to South Carolina in droves to get away from the blue state policies of the Democratic Socialist.
She defeated Congressman Ralph Norman. NBC News is projecting this morning Mike Mazzei will win the GOP primary runoff for Oklahoma governor, narrowly defeating State Attorney General Getner Drummond. 2 of 3 former St. Viator High School graduates accused of sexually assaulting a classmate at a graduation party last summer are due in court today for a status hearing. A private group has proposed express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office downtown, but it may cost you.
This is going to be a 15-minute express train using battery electric technology, whisper quiet trains that will get you from downtown near the old post office to O'Hare.
CEO Dave Lundy says the group has already reached track agreements with CSX and is talking with Canadian National. More discussions are ongoing. Indiana State Police troopers have captured an escaped inmate. Man got away during a custody transfer with federal police in Burns Harbor. He escaped from the agent's vehicle while driving westbound on I-94. ISP caught up with him about 5 hours later. And the 2 top football conferences in college football are uniting this morning to stop NFL players who want to return to school and play football. Conference leaders from the Big Ten voted to block anyone who didn't withdraw from the draft, appeared on a roster, or signed a pro contract from ever playing again in college football. The SEC passed a similar measure just hours later. The news comes after a Louisiana judge tried to allow players in NFL training camps to rejoin an SEC team, LSU. Chicago sports, Cubs crumble in the late innings in a 5-4 loss to the Diamondbacks, while the White Sox, led by Tristan Peters, outslugged the Rangers 11-7. Peters homered and reached base 5 times, but the White Sox now only 2.5 up on Cleveland. Cleveland has won 8 of 10. The news, a service of the Home Builders Association of Northwest Indiana's Fall Parade of Homes, featuring 7 high-end custom homes by 7 premier builders on large country lots in Stonebridge of Valparaiso. Learn more at paradeofhomesnwi.com. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio with your host, Roger Piper. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about home improvement. Listen every Saturday at noon for Home Answers right here on AM 560 The Answer. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com and by CenterGuard Plumbing.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
6:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Reagan I-88 eastbound. Jams up from Cermak to the Tri-State. An accident in Addison Lake and State and in Lake Forest, 41 and Old Elm Road. Traffic, a service of RockAuto.com. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices. Parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need at RockAuto.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Check of our forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. A more humid day, clouds and sun. Watch out for a passing thunderstorm this afternoon and a high of 84.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We're efforting George Cardenas. I know these mayoral candidates are shy. If they don't feel like they're at the top of the game, maybe they don't want to come on and deal with me. Willie Wilson, we had to stop and start with him, but we did talk to him yesterday. So hopefully we'll reschedule George Cardenas, whoever else wants to talk to me. And if you don't, that's fine too. Okay. Sports and politics. I'm becoming quite the expert on the WNBA, I'm sorry to say. Charles Barkley, Sir Charles, has now weighed in on this matter of the WNBA trying to figure out what a woman is. and the prospect of Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White being eligible for the WNBA draft, even though the unofficial word is there's no chance that the Panjan drums at the WNBA will allow those gentlemen identifying as women to be drafted. Here's Barkley.
I always support the gay community. I always support the transgender community.
Good for you.
I got none but love and respect for gay people and transgender people. But under no circumstances do I think men should play against women. Zero. I'm disappointed in Adam Silver and Kathy, the commissioner. First of all, you can't let stupid stuff go out to the internet, which is one of the worst things that ever happened to the world. They should have come out 2 weeks ago before all this, because people are looking for attention now. Just say,
including
hey,
this guy.
But he has a point, though, because Kathy and Adam haven't said, hey, it's in the title, WNBA. We're not going to have transgender people in the WNBA, and we're not going to discuss it again. That's what Adam and Kathy should have done 2 or 3 weeks ago before they turn it over to the internet and every fool, idiot, and jackass to have an opinion on. Adam should come out, and Kathy. I like both of them a lot. Women there's no transgender people going to play in the WNBA. If you don't like it, kick rocks. We're not going to discuss it anymore. And Ennis is trying to get attention because listen, if he did all the operation things, we're not doing that either. The WNBA is for women. And listen, this is the last time we're going to discuss it. We're not going to turn it over to the fools on the internet. We're not going to turn it over to Congress and things like that. The WNBA is for women only, period. We're not going to discuss it again.
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. The whole, I have nothing but love for this community, that community. I don't love indiscriminately. I mean, that's for God to do. I look at the individual. I don't, do this by community consensus. The people that are gay, that are otherwise lovely people, and then some not so much. All this, equivocating by having to check the I love everybody box, but here I disagree. Just say you disagree. And if somebody wants to accuse you of being hateful because you have a difference of opinion, then they can, try that line of argumentation and see how persuasive it turns out to be. Kara Swisher, she's a journo and leftist podcaster now. So, the problem with this controversy bedeviling the WNBA lies with people like Charles Barkley. Oh, well, yeah, but mostly people like Enes Kanter, straight a-hole men, particularly the honkies, of course.
The problem with women's basketball is whole straight men just can't just stop attacking these women. I think it's misogynist. I think it's racist for sure. I think it's, I don't really care if Sophie Cunningham says things about trans people. Fine. Fine. She has her opinions. But the fact that these men are coming in there and ruining the game for everybody, they should be tossed out of the stadiums. And that's the end of it.
Enes Kanter was tossed out of the stadium, the Wintrust Arena, and now he's banned from the Wintrust Arena, I understand, too. I mean, I say he. I know he's identifying as a she, but he is still a he. Wasn't it that Natasha Cloud who decided to confront him from the court? He's in the stands, but okay. So this is one of those issues. Men are not allowed to have an opinion because they're not women, even men identifying as women, even though people like Kara Swisher say men identifying as women are the same thing as women. Whew. Oh, I got a little dizzy there trying to follow the logic. You'll have to give me a second to catch my balance. Yeah, so Enes Kanter Freedom is banned, but Royce White, by contrast, is not going to go quietly.
Could this culminate in you actually playing in the WNBA?
It better. Why wouldn't they let me play? It's completely bigoted to deny my trans existence.
In full character, Royce White went on to say, as a black trans lesbian, the rumors of denial for my multi-spirit existence are concerning. I'd also like to remind everyone there is a trans genocide taking place right now in America. These kinds of casual comments lead to violence and our deaths. To tell a black trans woman she is not a woman or that the trans experience is a stunt is transphobic, bigoted, and racist. Okay. He is, as I said, staying in character. He also continued, I have not received any official or unofficial communication back from the WNBA regarding my eligibility. If the sources are true, I would like to see the league take immediate action to correct anybody who refuses to affirm my identity or use my pronouns, pay/me. The WNBA leadership has to show up and do the work. To tell a black trans woman she is not a woman or that the trans experience is a stunt is transphobic, bigoted, and racist. It's literally Nazism and white supremacy. I think the commissioner may be demonstrating some white privilege. No. No, as in no? Question mark? I mean, all right. I appreciate going all in. Jordan in Antioch, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I finally agree with the WNBA. Don't tell nobody.
Which
I think they 100% the men should stay out of the NBA, and that includes the NBA subsidizing the failure of the league. I finally agree with the WNBA. The men should stay out of it. They should do it on their own.
There you go. Thanks for the call, Jordan. Another aspect of this, and this should come as no surprise, identitarianism destroys everything it touches. So if it can destroy, say, higher education, you don't think it can destroy the WNBA? Do you think people like Natasha Cloud are doing the WNBA a service? You think all attention is good attention, and this is only going to redound to more revenue generation? Having the professional agitator set outside of WNBA arenas protesting Sophie Cunningham? What's next? Come on, You lived through the height of cancel culture. It's still a tool in the toolbox that they use when they're doing the work, as Royce White might say. Or I guess he goes by Roysha now. I don't want to dead name him. They'll get rid of you. And so Sophie Cunningham apparently has a 1-year deal with the Indiana Fever, $600,000. Not bad for averaging 8 points and 2.3 rebounds. And there's reporting circling that, it'd be just better if the Fever released her and nobody picked her up, because why deal with the distraction of somebody with a divergent opinion? So we may have seen the last of Sophie Cunningham in a WNBA uniform at the end of the season. Don't put it past them. This is what identitarians do. Destroy. They are totalitarian oriented. They are not tolerant of dissent. Is any of this new to you? You don't think they would apply it in sports? Paul in New Lenox.
Hi, Dan. To set the standard, all they have to do is ask them the question, a woman is someone who doesn't watch the Military Channel, The Curse of Oak Island, or The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, and you can set your standards by that.
There you go. A great litmus test. Thank you, Paul. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan. Good morning. Outside of, Caitlin Clark and some of these great players over the, however, 20, 30 years. So no one's really watching the NBA for the basketball. It's the identitarian politics you mentioned, and more expressly let's just say the same-sex female relationships. And this all has to come crumbling down, and I'm wondering if you're going to be happy when it crumbles down, because it's your ilk that's doing it, Dan. You people that keep telling the truth and calling them out for what they really are.
Thanks for the call. Well, I'm just, we're just saying where this ends. Yeah, I mean, it's tough enough to get interest in mediocre basketball, but you could see better basketball in most 7th and 8th grade gymnasiums around the metropolitan area than you see from the Chicago Sky. Just a fact. So, people, girl dads and all that, want to support women's sports. Great, fine. Me too. Whatever you want to do. But I'll just go back and say the same thing. You hyper-politicize it along identitarian lines, you're going to destroy it. Like you destroy an artistic institution, like you destroy a school system, like you destroy a university, like you destroy a state or local government. WNBA is no different. Ralph in Rantoul.
Hi, good morning, Dan. Hey, I was just wondering, wouldn't it be nice to go back to where it was in the very beginning, where nobody knew about the WNBA and we all just ignored it? So I think the violence and the thug ball is just intended to increase viewership, and I still don't watch it because it's garbage basketball. I mean, Sophie Cunningham is beautiful, but I can only take so many non-called elbows to the face of Caitlin Clark before I just become disinterested.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rob. I mean, I know people think this is a strategy. I don't think it's a strategy. I think they can't help themselves. Have you, we played clips of her yesterday. Have you heard Natasha Cloud hold forth on matters of public interest? Run down America. You think that that's a strategy she's using to get attention, or she can't help herself? These identitarian adult LGBTQIA2S++++ coaches and coaches adjacent. Do you think that that's a strategy they're executing, or they can't help themselves? I'll tell you what, I mean, the good news is because of people like Riley Gaines, because of people like Jennifer Say, you have more young girls in sports standing up. But it's interesting how this gutter culture you see exhibited by so many WNBA players, by the league itself. The absurdity of putting together a task force to figure out what a woman is and what the standards of admittance or drafting a basketball player to play in the WNBA should be. And the silence of the stars, of the real stars of the game, specifically Caitlin Clark, on the topic. That redounds to the, K through 12 level in good ways and bad ways. You see some young women exhibiting courage and speaking the truth, maybe in part thanks to the model that Sophie Cunningham has presented, that Riley Gaines has presented. But you have the mob mentality at that level too. Listen to a state swimming champion in the state of Maine named Sophie Pride, and the experience that she shared of saying what's true And the response, Sophia Pride, the response she got from, the mob in and around her high school.
I think the biggest reason a lot of girls are afraid to bring something like this up is because, I didn't even bring up this topic actually online. I made a post with Riley Gaines on Instagram, not sharing my personal political beliefs or anything like that. I guess you could assume based on me making a post with her. But, I had, my entire high school start leaving hate comments, and then they would see me in public and kind of, shun me or make a whole big deal out of it. Every time I'm back in Falmouth, there's group chats that still, this was back in November that this happened, group chats still continue to text about how Sophia Pride's back in town, as if I've done anything, evil. And most of the time, once I finally talk to these people in person, they realize, you're not. You're fine. You're a normal person. And they don't really know why everyone made such a big deal out of the situation, just because it's that mob mentality, really.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, really, the mob mentality. Mindless mob mentality, which is a redundancy, I understand. So, again, you think having the freak show dominate the WNBA on and off the court is going to bring normies to the stadiums to watch Angel Reese miss 15 layups in a game and pile up me-bounds? I don't think so.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country. Free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd Anniversary Benefit Dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
This is attorney Robert Nauman of Nauman & Associates. Thank you, 560 listeners, for your continual phone calls to request our service in your estate planning matters. To share an example, a couple met with our team about an adult child that will need assistance after they both pass away. We created a trust with provisions that will protect that adult child and the rest of the family for years after they're gone. Give us a call when you're facing special circumstances with adult children. We'd love to help you protect your estate and your family. NALawGroup.com or 847-593-8777.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, coming up at 7:05 or 7:07 actually, I'm told we will have George Cardenas, Chicago Mayor L. George Cardenas, scheduling snafu or miscommunication or what have you. Regardless, we'll talk about the mayor's race and BLM Brandon's budget with George Cardenas, 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
She'll never be forgotten. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. Fans around the world are remembering Dolly Parton for her incredible musical talent and spirit. In 2018, she told Fox and Friends,
"You got to be true to yourself. You got to stand up for what you believe in, especially to the young girls. You got to believe in yourself. You've got to be willing to sacrifice for whatever that dream of yours is."
Her representatives say the 80-year-old icon passed away yesterday from cancer and will always be remembered for her music, acting, business savvy, and her humor and generosity. Interim South Carolina U.S. Senator Darlene Graham won the primary runoff yesterday to advance to the general election. Many see her as a victory test for President Trump's endorsement.
The president strongly backed her. She is new to politics after the sudden passing of her brother, Lindsey Graham.
I know he's looking down right now, very proud.
The Graham campaign believes the president did all he could to help her across the finish line.
Fox's Mike Emanuel. In November, Graham will face off against pediatrician Democrat Annie Andrews in a state where Democrats haven't won a statewide election in 2 decades. Canada retaliates with up to 50% tariffs on hundreds of U.S. products to match the levies from the U.S.
50% on American steel and aluminum products, 25% on American dairy, fish, and seafood, and 15% on select farm equipment and machinery, up to $20 billion. Prime Minister Carney says in the face of unjustified American tariffs, Canadians have shown resolve, purpose, and strength.
Fox's Peter Ducey reports President Trump says Canadians must pay a fair amount.
And if they don't, we won't make a deal. That's fine.
America's listening to Fox News.
"71 degrees, a lot more humid this morning at 7:02 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. NIPSCO says it hopes to have power restored in northwest Indiana to all customers this morning, more than 2 weeks after severe storms caused widespread outages across the region. This morning, just over 600 remain without power. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office is working to identify more than 50 decomposing bodies found earlier this month at a Chicago funeral home. The bodies were discovered August 8 at the South Chicago Chapel. At least 47 bodies now have been identified. A private group is proposing express rail service between O'Hare and downtown Chicago at the old post office. But many cost and infrastructure questions remain unanswered.
This is going to be a 15-minute express train using battery electric technology, whisper quiet trains that will get you from downtown near the old post office to O'Hare.
The O'Hare Flyer Group has reached an agreement with CSX and Canadian National on rail corridors that are not or underused by those two rail giants. Meantime, Mayor Brandon Johnson says the proposal is a healthy response to the Chicago he's trying to build.
Using more forms of green technology to protect our atmosphere, and then do it in a way in which we can create jobs and move people through our city.
The O'Hare Flyer Group is not seeking any government subsidies or funding that would otherwise go to regional transit authorities. Chicago sports. Last night it was a win for the White Sox. They crushed the Rangers 11-7. Tristan Peters with a home run. Cubs crumble in the late innings in a 5-4 loss to the Diamondbacks. The news, a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's a calling. Family-owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. Steiner Homes. Love where you live. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows and doors, to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio with your host, Roger Piper. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about home improvement. Listen every Saturday at noon for Home Answers, right here on AM 560 The Answer. Sponsored in part by Access Home and Vehicle Mobility Solutions and by Steiner Homes.
The IRS has one job: to collect every dollar they believe you owe. What's your plan? If you have unfiled tax returns, owe back taxes, or you've received IRS notices, don't wait until your paycheck is garnished or your bank account is frozen. Fight back with experienced tax professionals. At PJN Tax Solutions Group, we represent taxpayers before the IRS every day. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. We know the system, we know the rules, and we know how to protect your rights. Whether you need to stop collections, negotiate a payment plan, request penalty relief, or resolve years of tax problems, we're ready to go to work for you. The IRS has experts on their side, and you should have experts on yours as well, right? Call PJN Tax Solutions Group today at 630-415-5296, or better yet, just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have helped American heroes ever since. Heroes like United States Navy Chief Shannon Kent. Kent was killed in a suicide bombing, leaving behind her husband, Joseph, their 2 kids. Tunnel to Towers honored her sacrifice and paid off the family mortgage, giving them security forever. Donate $11 a month. Maybe you have a car to donate, land to donate. Please go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that. Specifically, Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency, and clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talked to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Addison report of an accident, Lake State. Lombard an accident, St. Charles in Maine. Lake Forest, US 41 and Old Elm. They're sweeping up an accident out of your way. On the toll roads, I-88, the Reagan, jams up eastbound at Midwest, and the Jane Addams I-90 eastbound on the brakes at Meacham. Traffic, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be humid with a mix of clouds and sun. There will be a passing shower in the morning, followed by a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas late this afternoon. Gusty winds may accompany any downpour. The high will reach 84 degrees. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Hurrah! BLM Brandon has a budget fix of sorts. At least, for what passes for a budget in the city of Chicago, or the state of Illinois for that matter. Announced it yesterday, but he is none too happy with the so-called corporate caucus, his term. Those who won't go along with all of his revenue-generating ideas.
From the beginning, our administration warned that this so-called alternative budget relied on speculative, untested revenues that were not guaranteed to materialize. The most glaring example is the alternate group's plan to sell outstanding debt to a third-party collector. That proposal produced $0.
What will it take to have a less contentious budget season this year, both from your opponents and you and your administration?
What was contentious about it? The corporate head tax, right? Imagine if we would have actually passed that. We would have a surplus right now. The budget shortfall for this year was initially projected to be around $130 million. But because our revenue streams that I put forward are performing so well, they're making up the difference of what the failed corporate caucus put forward. People are hurting in this city. I was talking to a family recently, a dad, mother. They work hard every single day, $1,800 for rent. By the time they get done paying rent, there's very little left for their two daughters. The corporate caucus wanted to place a greater burden on that working family. And if you're asking me to just roll
And so we're going to refi some bonds and use the shekels left over from the COVID funny money days to shore up the gap for now, keep the plate spinning. His revenue-generating ideas have exceeded expectations. So, hey, Chicagoans, keep gambling and smoking pot. Because, that's how we keep the city afloat. Sounds great. Perfect for the working family. For more on this topic and others, pleased to be joined by George Cardenas. He was a longtime Chicago alderman, now Cook County Board of Review commissioner, and, of course, candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago. His website, Cardenas for Chicago, Cardenas, 4, Chicago.com. George Cardenas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for the invite.
So if you were still in the city council, would you be a member of the so-called corporate caucus, or would you be a member of the DSA caucus, I guess is the other one?
There's so many caucuses I can't keep track nowadays. But when I was there, I was representing my ward, and I stood up every time I could. And voiced my opinion on how to bring back resources to my community, which I did, plentiful during those times. And that's what I would do different. I think we're too many caucuses and too many disagreements, but they're not getting down to really the heart of the matter, and that is managing the resources of taxpayers. 32 years in running, increasing of taxes on Cook County residents. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the dysfunction and what we need to do about it.
Well, so the corporate head tax too. But by the way, I think this is sort of arguing about how many angels dance on the head of the pin. I would oppose reinstituting it, but I don't think it's a seminal issue the way that both Brandon Johnson and members of the city council are making it. But where do you come down on that specifically, and then more generally on the perceived fight between Johnson and some segment of the city council over financing the city's expenditures?
I think they're talking past each other, to be honest. Now, myself and my team audited the budget books of the city from 2019 to 2026 because that period gave you an idea of what was before and then what went off the rails. And what we uncovered was the fact that we were spending twice the rate of inflation. Inflation hovered around 27% during that period, roughly 3.6, 3.8, depending on the CPI gross or the simple CPI that if you want to use that. The point is that at that rate of spend, unless you got a revenue source is going to plug that, you're going to be running deficits from then on. Every year is going to be the same battle. Everything is in the same question. How do we fill the gap? How do we get more revenue? Instead of focusing on exactly where is the money going, what systems need to be modernized, how much money are we not collecting that is owed to the city that's in the billions of dollars? Why are our systems are not integrated? Things that help you manage and understand what needs to happen in order for a city to grow and thrive. You need to understand its value. You need to understand where it needs to go.
Well, so then what structural reforms would you propose? Because you have a city whose bond rating is just above junk and it may be returning to junk. And you have particularly Chicago police and fire pension funds that are a quarter funded or less, death spiraling, really, if you talk to actuaries. And you have, what Brandon Johnson mentioned in terms of the affordability of the city, which is only declining when, as Pappas's office reported, the median residential property tax bill in Chicago rose 17% this year with, as you know, with major spikes in some of the poorest communities on the west and south sides, like West Garfield Park and North Lawndale and Inglewood.
Right.
So the structural reforms, how do we configure the city to make it make financial sense, to make it frankly viable?
Well, you start with the spend, right? You start with the contracts. You get a baseline to see, where you're at. We're a $7 billion baseline of contracts. This is where the money outflows. Any person, and I'm an accountant, by the way, and management consultant, but if I was hired by an entity to say, hey, come and help me look at my books and see where you're going to find some efficiencies, or tell me where we have cost leakage that we're maybe not tracking or maybe we're not really understanding. And part of that, if you just kind of go through your books to say, okay, where is the spending and this fragmented spending, where is the outcome, where is the measurement of that, you would understand that that's not really going anywhere, but you're spending it because someone tells you to spend, or some political affiliate or an ally is telling you that that's where you need to go. Look, if you just do a quick analysis, at least in my conservative annual savings would be about $1.1 billion, roughly about 16% savings, and that's simply of going through a progression of things to say, what are we spending on healthcare? What are we spending on different services that need to be modernized? IT, for example, facilities management is another that I think that we need to look at. You got to apply those savings and say this can happen, and you can differentiate between your cash flow and your locked-in savings by arranging these contracts in a tiered manner. So to me, it's a more professional exercise. These consulting firms that were hired, they were paid millions of dollars, and the report never saw the light of day. That tell you something as to why these folks were probably recommending significant changes to the approach of the spend that was happening in the city, and therefore they were not enacted because they didn't fit their agenda.
Oh, okay, but I'm not sure you can sort of tinker on the margins. I mean, and $1 billion, and what's the city's budget? $17 billion. I mean, it is
now. Yeah, it'll be over $17 billion.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not nothing. But I mean, if you want to hire more cops, if you want to do this, if you proposed a stipend for parents, if you want to do certain things that you want to do, the city's not doing, then that money goes quickly. And yet, again, we find ourselves, in financial dire straits by any objective measure. So I mean, are there things the city is doing now that it should just get out of the business of doing altogether? That it's trying to do too much that it's not good at, and we need to shrink the footprint of city government in order to focus on the things that it could be constructive doing.
Well, and people can go to my policy hub, by the way, where we go deep and heavy on all the things that people should care about. And parenting matters is one of those. But let me address the first one, which is the auditor general idea, or have someone audit the books and the efficiency of the city, the systems, and see where we can track some of that, and you're going to uncover a lot of things you could do different. Now, the parenting matters part of it is if we're spending in a fragmented way, where a non-for-profit sector has grown exponentially, that means that we are addressing some of the needs, but it's fragmented, is not consolidated, does not have any impact that you want it to have. And why not invest in families? People talk about, well, why don't you school some of those unutilized schools? Why don't we put some of those schools to use and bring the families back to school? Bring the families together back to school. Put the parent in teaching as well, teaching some skills. Let's go to work on it. Let's change the dynamics on the ground. Spending is not going to solve that problem.
Oh, okay, but I'm still not hearing what the city should get out of the business of doing. I mean, I want to hear on the growth side too, but just is there any? Should the city be doing what it's trying to do, especially under Brandon Johnson, with government housing? Should it be trying to open city-run grocery stores as Brandon Johnson has proposed? Should we be talking about reparations? I mean, what in addition to what it's actually attempting to do? Is there any agency that should be closed? Is there any program that should be zeroed out?
Well, I think, again, you got to go back to see what are we going to be closing. There's going to be some changes, obviously, and we're not going to be in the business. That's not our core function of having grocery stores. We can't manage our day-to-day right now with, the fiscal insanity that we're creating, so I don't see how we can manage a grocery store.
But you were in the city council for 20 years. I mean, through the mayors that you worked with and the city council, the time you're in city council, you didn't see anything that you already know is there that why are we doing this?
Yeah, many ideas were formed back in the day. If it came to facility, because I told you, facilities manager is one of the ones that I focused all the time because it didn't make any sense that how much are we spending on changing the oil, how much are we spending on just a normal fix of a truck or a vehicle. That is disabled or needs maintenance. Those are the things that are just day-to-day things. So, but there's a lot of things, I think, if you go through the progression of things in all these departments, and again, you go back to my documents, it points you to streets and sanitation, how we can save some money there. How do you save money also in the procurement system as well? And how do you save money for every department? IT is another example I mentioned. So there's a lot of areas where you can start, sort of taking off so that you can get the city back on track. It's hard to say, hey, this is exactly, I'm going to cut the chickens out of this thing right now without going through a complete review of spend and cut the things that are not needed. The core services of the city is to provide safety, provide the services that people need to pick up the garbage, make sure the potholes are filled, make sure we have a governing city. That is really the core services. Anything else beyond that, it's really should be advisable in saying if we can really meet that moment. I don't think the grocery store is one of them.
Okay, what about on the growth side? There are currently an estimated 48,000 vacant lots on the south and west sides of Chicago, and that empty space certainly doesn't help make those neighborhoods more attractive. I mean, that's a huge expanse of land when taken together. What is the and obviously because of the lack of public safety and frankly the tax and regulatory regime that you're facing as a potential developer or business owner, those by the evidence of those lots, you're not interested. By evidence of the empty lots, you're not interested. How do you make people interested to be constructive on the south and west sides of Chicago and get those lots redeveloped and back on the tax rolls and adding to those neighborhoods?
Yeah, I think in my Chicago Housing Supply and Affordability document, I talk about how to decreasing the permit cycle, the targets of 45 days, versus 90 days, how to build, 22,000 units, going now from this affordable $800,000 unit to a more manageable in the $400,000 range, by route approvals to 65%. So I do talk about how to modernize that permitting section and expediting, our growth, especially when it comes to housing. The rent prices is a supply and demand issue. You got to build more.
Yeah.
You just got to build more housing.
Yeah, but you also have to make it attractive for people to invest in said housing and make Chicago their home. And that's no easy trick. Let's go back to property taxes, for example, when people see their home equity eviscerated by property taxes. So, I mean, I understand as Cook County Board of Review Commissioner, you're not setting property tax policy, but even as mayor, you wouldn't be, but you would have great influence in driving a discussion. What would you like to see based on your experience in city council and on the Board of Review? What structural changes, if any, do you think should be made to how Cook County and the state of Illinois do property taxation?
Well, I think the assessment process, and I mentioned in writings in the Chicago Tribune last year, that I believe was broken. The fact that methodology was different between the board and also the assessor, and I think we're getting more to how we we can more align on that. So the methodology is now one that we agree on, which is basically, including expenses, including the tax expense that was not there before, including cap rates and so forth. So we're in agreement on that now. But I think, we have a property tax working group where we really sit down and kind of think through what else can we do from an incentive standpoint, from a growth standpoint, and really decrease the pressure on homeowners in areas that are seemingly, twice, 3 times, 4 times the assessment of other properties, similar properties in the north part of the city, south part of the city, and south part of the county are getting hit hard, and the burden is shifting to more to them. And I think that's a methodology issue from the assessment process. I think we need to rein in. We have a new assessor coming in. I'm going to work with them tirelessly, to be honest with you, in understanding the data, understanding the gaps, and see if that methodology can change. But also, you got to grow the city. The downtown, the vacancy of downtown is a huge problem. I was there on State Street taking pictures because I'm doing this whole idea of a entertainment district in the downtown area, especially on State Street. You have, not just the empty lots, but you have in the downtown, by the way, you have tens really, properties that are for lease right out in that street in a few blocks. And that should not happen in the city of Chicago. State Street is that great street. Remember that song from Sinatra. We need to bring back life to the city of the downtown area, and you got to grow the city. I mean, we can tinker around some of the needs. The city's got to grow. We have some really infrastructure needs that need to be met. So we got to keep investing, and not just in people, but also in systems. And the only way to do that is by getting more taxpayers into the city, into the system.
In the time we have left, I want you to address this Parenting Matters idea that you have and the possibility of providing stipends for parents.
Okay. What's
the concept?
Well, the concept is simply to have parents more involved instead of just talking about punishing parents and fining parents. I talk about how to get the parents involved on stabilize the family. If you stabilize the family, then you're saving a child, right? To me, I think that merits a different look at how we spend some of the soft dollars to go for violence intervention. Why not put it in the hands of the family itself and stabilize it?
So instead of paying like these violence interrupters that are, patrolling CTA platforms and so forth, you would just make a direct payment to parents to incentivize them to look after their kids.
Yes, I think we do both. I think we lessen the need for direct violence intervention if we do on the preventive side. We're going to be launching our Safe Chicago platform or document that has, prevention, intervention, and consequences, which is really tying those three to just what I said. If we do the prevention side and we help families stabilize those families and have the mom or the dad be involved in that parent's upbringing, I think that's a great investment, right? We're not going to see that child acting crazy or chaotic, and that's a benefit to society. That's a lot less on safety costs by deploying police and so forth. And I think the social component makes sense to me. It's a family thing. Family matters. I mean, we all know that. Why not invest in the front end instead of the back end?
And so there would be some sort of household income threshold in terms of parents that get paid, or
absolutely. I mean, absolutely, and there'll be consequences. Like I said, prevention, intervention, and consequences. That's really how you have to really look at it. Nothing's free. There's no free lunch. You got to be involved. There's got to be outcomes. We're going to measure those and then scale what works and eliminate what doesn't. But it's a new approach of managing resources. Getting down to what is really going on in Chicago. We created a dashboard just recently for our own internal, tracking of a citywide portfolio of, public safety confidence, and we measure that. Transit reliability recovery, and we measure that. Infrastructure delivery pipeline, we measure that. resident engagement and trust. We also measure that. And on all 50 wards, we keep track of what's happening in those wards and what's working and what's not. Are there any issues that we should be tackling? Agencies, right? City colleges and workforce, track those. The job placement within 6 months, the dual credit participation, the employer partnership growth, CDOS, reason sand, pothole closure, street lighting repair. Where are we with that on that? Are we tracking that? Resurfacing completion, are we tracking that? Planning and business affairs, permit cycle time, are we tracking that? A business retention, are we tracking that? Put a watch on it if it's below a certain percentage that we said we would need. Affordable units delivered, are we on track or not? And we put a measure on that. Public Building Commission, what are we building? What's the score on that? And then so that to me is what managing. If I'm going to be mayor, I'm going to have a weekly press conference, which each of these agencies that's going to be called on, okay, so tell us what's going on in your particular area and how are you tracking these accomplishments? Well, how are you measuring that? And what are we delivering for residents of this city? That's how you know what's working and what's not. CTA, same thing. I'm able to track right now all these agencies in one dashboard. Why can the city do it?
George Cardenas, he's a commissioner on the Cook County Board of Review, former Chicago alderman, candidate for mayor of Chicago in February. Cardenas for Chicago. Cardenas, the number 4, Chicago.com is the website.
Go to Policy Hub, please. Go to Policy Hub,
okay.
Download the documents, read them, critique, put 2 cents in it. All the listeners, put your 2 cents in there.
Okay.
See what else we're missing.
Okay. Policy Hub at CardenasForChicago.com. George Cardenas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And you join us on the ElfWealthGroup.com answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
70 degrees. We've had some clouds overnight into the early morning and a few drops of rain. There's a chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon. Our top story in the QC Kinetics newsroom, country music legend Dolly Parton is being remembered for her legacy of charity. The American icon died at the age of 80. Her nephew, Brian Seaver, announced her death.
Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil. She farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest.
Among her many contributions, Parton started the Dollywood Foundation in 1988 to help children in her part of rural East Tennessee achieve educational success. Her family in the country music world this morning continues to mourn the loss.
There's been an outpouring of love for Dolly from all walks of life.
It doesn't matter what group you are, even politically. Like, both sides think Dolly's them. Who else has that?
Country music radio and TV personality Bobby Bones.
So she was a lot of things, but what she remained was country, and I think that's what makes us proudest.
Bones says Dolly started from very humble beginnings and showed the American people what the American dream really looks like. Dolly Parton died peacefully Tuesday in Nashville at the age of 80. I'm Jason Campadonia.
Fans will have a chance to celebrate Dolly Parton's life when her Broadway musical opens later this year. Senator Darlene Graham has won the Republican Senate primary runoff in South Carolina.
People are moving to South Carolina in droves to get away from the blue state policies of the Democratic Socialist.
She'll face Democrat Annie Andrews in November. Target shares falling nearly 4% after a backlash over a potentially offensive Halloween costume. The company apologized Monday, saying the children's clown outfit, according to some, evoked racist minstrel stereotypes, and then pulled it from shelves and online sales. A private group proposing express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office in downtown Chicago. Group O'Hare Flyer says the battery electric trains will reduce existing right-of-way corridors and reduce trip time between the airport and downtown to 15 minutes. Cubs crumble in the late innings in a 5-4 loss to the Diamondbacks. White Sox outslugged the Rangers 11-7. Sox only 2.5 up on Cleveland. And it is win or go home today in the Little League World Series. 4 elimination games are on the schedule. The news service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app, 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio with your host, Roger Piper. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about home improvement. Listen every Saturday at noon for Home Answers right here on AM 560 The Answer. Sponsored in part by Level 10 Coatings and by American Beam and Steel.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer Line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance.
7:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And we start in Bridgeview this morning, 71st and Harlem Avenue. Harlem is shut down in both directions right now. Huge intersection, huge area of Harlem Avenue between 65th and 72nd. Entirely shut down right now due to a SUV versus semi accident being cleaned up right now. Bridgeview police will keep us advised. Meantime, Route 53 jammed up in the roadwork zone, southbound Palatine Road all the way down to Algonquin. Lakeshore Drive northbound, heavy and slow Stevenson up through Monroe. And on the Dan Ryan, an accident, right lane blocked in the locals, outbound at 31st. Traffic, a service of Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. On the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core processors, so you can work anywhere. Now from $699 with exclusive student pricing. Find PCs built for you at Dell.com/deals. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, check of the forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Passing shower this morning, could be a thunderstorm this afternoon, and a high of 84.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. On this trade impasse with the Canucks, you know, it's a little difficult to take them seriously, even their business coalition, when they start every conversation like this.
Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. We recognize and honor the enduring presence, cultures, and contributions of Indigenous peoples, and we are grateful to be able to gather on this territory today. Alors aujourd'hui...
Yeah, okay, all right. Anyway, if we could get to the business of the matter, CNBC's Joe Kernan discussing the impasse with a Canadian trade official named Dom LeBlanc, and pointing out, you know, and this is instructive for us too, whatever Canada's doing, probably not something America or any other country that wants to grow should do, given what Canada's tax and regulatory schemes have imposed on Canadians. Take a listen.
I know you're familiar with GDP. Personal GDP actually falling most years in Canada. The OECD projects that Canada, out of 38 OECD members, will rank 38, dead last in GDP per capita growth through 2060. And I'm trying to figure out why.
Through 2060.
To see. And I do find one thing, it says here, tax and regulatory competitiveness. There's a gap even with the U.S. where we think permitting, and we've got all these problems down here. How bad is it in Canada? And what changes do you think need to be made at this point? I don't think you're really negotiating from a strong position based on these things.
Well, that is where I might respectfully disagree with you. I think that if Canada is the top export destination for 26 U.S. states, we sell oil and gas and potash essential to the U.S. manufacturing economy, huge value added in the United States. So we can find compelling examples where trade done properly benefits both countries. But I certainly take your question in terms of the regulatory burden, in terms of tax competitiveness. Those are issues that Prime Minister Carney ran on in the election last year. He got a mandate to be able to ensure that federal permitting, for example, of these major projects, think of big energy projects, think of clean energy projects, port infrastructure. We're diversifying our trade relationships around the world. We've signed in the last year 20 deals worth tens of billions of dollars with other economies. So we've been very active in looking at new trading relationships, at diversifying the economy, but share your concern around the competitiveness in a tax and permitting context. And we have taken, and we will continue. In fact, we're introducing legislation in Parliament next month to deal with accelerated permitting, exactly along the lines of what you mentioned.
You know what Dom LeBlanc, the Canadian trade official, you know who he sounds like? J.B. Pritzker. He sounds like an Illinois politician presiding over a sclerotic, failed state. and trying to give the impression that they're doing something dynamic to address it, and they're not. But it does speak to that the background that Kernan offered up does speak to the obvious point, which Trump and others have made repeatedly. Canada needs us a lot more than we need them. For more on this and other matters, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore. And our conversation with Steve Moore is brought to you by Home State Bank. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate and spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today by calling 815-459-2000. Again, that's Home State Bank at 815-459-2000. Steve Moore, economist, co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Good morning, Dad. By the way, I just want to be on record. I love Canadian hockey and I love Canadian bacon. Okay.
Okay. Well, you both are going to be more. Your hockey stick and your bacon is going to be more expensive. But other than that,
Right.
I mean, what I know you're a free trader. You're free trade oriented as I am. But I mean, I do think that Trump and Vance have a point here with respect to the deception engaged in by Carney and his relationship with the Chinese communists.
I think that's right. And look, Canada's economy, as you just pointed out, is much weaker than the United States is. And Canada, look, I'm not in favor of these new rounds of tariffs that Trump wants to put on Canada. I think it's not a good time when people are already concerned about affordability to raise prices again on imports. But that being said, Canada has been cheating. They impose very high tariffs.
Steve? Hello, Steve?
Oh,
did his satellite phone go out?
Wait,
you cut out when you were saying they impose very high tariffs on us.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it's not a great time to do these tariffs with Canada. But look at the fact that what was that number you just cited, that of the 20 major countries, Canada has the lowest increase
in GDP growth. Of the 38 OECD countries, they're 38th.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, big mistake. They can't win a tit-for-tat trade war with the United States because their economy is totally dependent on exporting to the United States. If they can, now look, we both benefit from trading with each other, and I've always been in favor of the whole idea of Canada, Mexico, and the United States being one big free trade zone. That was Ronald Reagan's vision back in the early 80s. But, you know, for their response to say, well, if you're going to put these high tariffs on us, we're going to put high tariffs on you, that's just not a game they can win. So, and Carney's kind of a communist.
Yeah.
He hates the United States. He's a terrible spokesman for the Canadians, and it's a frustrating thing. But I'm more frustrated, frankly, with what's going on here in the U.S. And I love Donald Trump, but I just think this White House is off message right now in terms of explaining to people what the number one concern is, which is affordability. And I just don't think that they're addressing it. And if they don't address it, and these bad numbers on consumer confidence and Trump's bad numbers can persist until November, it could be a wipeout for Republicans.
You did see the missive earlier this week that they're greenlighting the importation of more beef to try to lower the cost of beef for the American family. So
right. And that's a good, that's a good thing. And there are a lot of things. Well, how about indexing capital gains tax for inflation? The Republicans need a message right now. Remember Bill Clinton's line, "I feel your pain."
Yeah.
I think we need a little bit of that from the stop talking about your ballroom and talk about how you're going to get prices down. Now, look, everyone knows the reason we have higher prices today is because of the oil price, which is still hovering around $80 a barrel, and it's the quagmire of Iran that has caused these prices to go up. And hopefully that will get resolved at some point soon. And by the way, it is true, as Larry Kudlow would say, as soon as that oil price starts to come down, the price of everything else will come down as well. But Lord knows when that's going to happen.
So, I mean, if you were in the inner sanctum there with President Trump and his team, you would be saying we need to offer a forward-looking vision of what we're going to do to build on the BBB with respect to tax relief. And would you also say we need to have a message of what we are looking to do going forward about addressing $40 trillion in debt?
Well, nobody wants to talk about that, Dan.
Yes.
The Democrats don't want to talk about it. The Republicans don't want to. The only thing the Republicans have going for themselves right now, the only thing they have going for themselves?
The DSA,
Democrats.
yeah.
Right. So you've got two parties that are completely off message right now. And, they've got by the way, did you see in California that they've now passed the Shut Up Nick Shirley Act?
Yes.
So it's like, for people who aren't following this story, the one guy who's exposing all the fraud in these government programs, like the daycare center programs and the Medicaid fraud and all this, is this 23-year-old kid with a camera who's going in and exposing all the fraud. And so California, instead of going after the fraud, they're going after Nick Shirley and saying, you can't do that. You can't put a camera in front of people's face and ask them what they did with them.
Well, nobody likes a tattletale, Steve. Right?
Exactly. It would be, but Dad, it's almost like, if you're a bank robber and you come in with a mask on and you tell everybody, give me all your money, and you take all their money, and then I'm the citizen, I tackle you and impede you, and then the police come in and arrest me for stopping the robbery. That's essentially what's happening with the Democrats today.
But I mean, but elections are about the future, as the axiom goes, and you're right. There's a lot of sort of one-off. We're doing this, we're doing that, but there's no sort of forward-looking vision to say we've accomplished these things, and here's what's coming next if you leave us with the reins of power. And I don't think. I mean, it's productive, but I don't think the anti-fraud task force and some of these one-offs like the beef thing are going to be enough. And just to people's point, if they you can't be blithe about this, because look, right now, both Ramaswamy and Husted are in trouble in Ohio, and Paxton is certainly in trouble in Texas.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, this could be a wave election like we had in 1994 when Republicans won every seat. I don't think it's going to be that bad, because the Democrats really are struggling with their own message, and they keep nominating wackos for a lot of these jobs, but they could win. They could win because it could just be a protest vote. And look, I think for Republicans, Trump has to do a better job of talking about, look, these are the things we've done. Let's not forget that illegal immigration has been cut to virtually zero. How about the fact that crime in major cities is down, 40, 50% since Trump came into office? How about the fact that we have more jobs than we have people to fill them right now? And there are 8 million jobs open in this country. How about the fact that we have the best stock market of any country in the world? How about the fact that we're dominating the technology age? All of these things are really good news. I mean, look, I think objectively speaking, it's a pretty good economy. There's not a single country in the world that wouldn't trade with the United States right now. The Europeans are flat. Canada, as you said, is not just flat; they're declining. We're the one industrialized country that's continuing to grow. So we need some optimism here. And the most important thing we could do right now is cut some government spending, but they won't do it. The Republicans don't want to do it, Dan.
Yeah, the lingering problem. Well, we didn't get to $40 trillion in debt, and then probably another 100 in unfunded liabilities by accident. It takes both parties working together.
That's the one thing they cooperate on.
Correct. Steve Moore, economist, founder of Unleash Prosperity. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, Dan. Have a great day.
You too. And our conversation with Steve brought to you by Home State Bank. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate and spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Again, talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today by calling 815-459-2000. That's 815-459-2000.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have helped American heroes ever since. Heroes like United States Navy Chief Shannon Kent. Kent was killed in a suicide bombing, leaving behind her husband, Joseph, their 2 kids. Tunnel to Towers honored her sacrifice and paid off the family mortgage, giving them security forever. Donate $11 a month. Maybe you have a car to donate, land to donate. Please go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
You love the summer in Chicago, but don't spend it painting. Do what Tom did. He called Rhino Shield.
So our house is a single-story brick built in 1986, and the paint was starting to look a little worn. I decided I needed to give Rhino Shield a call.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's better than paint.
The Rhino Shield crew was quite good, and the people that I worked with were top-notch. I basically came home 2 days after they started it, and it was done.
And Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty and is formulated specifically for our unique climate here in Chicago. And right now, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
Even now, when we're riding together, we come home and we're like, man, that looks great. And we've had compliments from friends that have been over and looking at it, and it just really looks awesome.
This is a limited time offer, Chicago, so call now, 847-850-1132 or ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
No pain, go Rhino Shield.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we're going to talk to Dan Vosnos, former educator and athletic director. He has been really the point person on this issue in District 128, Libertyville High School. A teacher accused of sexual abuse of a disabled student. We've got an update on that at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
President Trump scores a primary win. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. The president celebrating a primary victory in South Carolina, where his endorsed candidate, interim U.S. Senator Darlene Graham, won the Republican runoff, advancing to the general election in November. She thanked the president for his support.
Our victory would not have been possible without you, and we are truly grateful.
And Graham's making a bid for a full term in office to replace her brother, the late U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham.
Our state and nation are much better and safer because of him.
And she will face pediatrician Democrat Annie Andrews in November. South Carolina has not elected a Democratic senator since 1998.
Here you come again.
As tributes pour in for the country music superstar Dolly Parton, her representatives revealed she died yesterday from cancer.
A representative for Parton said she had been admitted to the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center in Nashville on Friday. Additional details about her illness were not given, and it's not clear when she received that diagnosis. Parton had been dealing with other known health issues in the last couple of years, including kidney stones and autoimmune and digestive issues.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers reporting. Her family says it will hold a small private funeral service for immediate family in Nashville. The U.S. announced economic D-Day for Iran this week and is reportedly sticking with that tactic.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is apparently telling American allies in the Gulf and in the Middle East that there aren't going to be any more big military strikes against the Iranians anytime soon as the focus shifts to economic pressure. That is according to Axios.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Iran continues to insist it controls the Strait of Hormuz, and ships trying to pass without its permission will be in danger. America's listening to Fox News.
.70 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. NIPSCO says it hopes to have power restored to all Northwest Indiana customers this morning, more than 2 weeks after storms caused widespread outages, knocking out power to 375,000 customers. This morning, about 600 remain without power. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office working to identify the more than 50 decomposing bodies that were found earlier this month at a Chicago funeral home. The bodies discovered August 8 at South Chicago Chapel. 47 bodies so far have been identified. 2 of 3 former St. Viator High School graduates accused of sexually assaulting a classmate at a graduation party last summer are due in court today for a status hearing. A private group is proposing express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office downtown. CEO Dave Lundy.
This is going to be a 15-minute express train using battery electric technology, whisper quiet trains that will get you from downtown near the old post office to O'Hare.
Mayor Brandon Johnson says he is trying to accept the details, but says the proposal may be a healthy response.
Using more forms of green technology to protect our atmosphere, and then do it in a way in which we can create jobs and move people through our city.
The news service of Goldilocks offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind. Call Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature, a division of Esquire Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Mortgage rates rose last week. The Mortgage Bankers Association says the average for a 30-year fixed loan was up to 6.78%, the highest level in 3 weeks. Kohl's sales declined in the recent quarter. The retail chain says it is seeing signs of improvement in its turnaround plan. Kohl's is raising its forecast for the year, though the stock is losing ground. Starbucks Workers United is calling for a boycott of the chain as it continues to seek a contract. The union represents a fraction of the company's workforce, 12,000 baristas. The campaign, called No Contract, No Coffee, comes as CEO Brian Niccol is working on a turnaround strategy for the chain. AI chipmaker NVIDIA reports earnings after the Wall Street close today. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Virago and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like U.S. Army Sergeant William Bernard McKenna, exposed to burn pits. McKenna later died from T-cell lymphoma, leaving his wife, Dina, and two daughters. Tunnel to Towers honored Sergeant McKenna. They paid off the family's mortgage in honor of all of his sacrifice. Donate $11 a month. If you have a car to donate, if you have land to donate, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org today.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Delays in Bridgeview this morning. Harlem Avenue, north and southbound between 72nd and 65th. All blocked off both directions due to a serious crash, semi and SUV. Lombarded accident, Route 53 in Madison. Accident with injuries, Western Avenue in the city at Bernice, where a pedestrian was struck by an auto. You got big delays on the Metra UP Northwest line. Inbound near Fox River Grove. That train is delayed due to mechanical problems, and delays are stacking up throughout the morning. Tri-State. Accident, left lane blocked, southbound, right at Bradley. Traffic, a service of Aleve. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality. But Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill, 12 hours of body pain relief. Try Aleve today. Use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Up next, your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be humid with a mix of clouds and sun. There will be a passing shower in the morning, followed by a chance of a thunderstorm in some areas late this afternoon. Gusty winds may accompany any downpour. The high will reach 84 degrees. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A story that we brought you in the spring out of Libertyville High School, District 128. Allegations that a teacher there was sexually abusing a 15-year-old student who has Down syndrome. There's a lawsuit filed by mom against the teacher, whose name is Parker Rohde, and the district, in which, among other things, reading from the complaint, Rohde's grooming of plaintiff Jane Doe started in the fall of 2024 semester when she was 15 years old. Rohde knew of the plaintiff's disability, vulnerability, and reliance on adult authority, and exploited those characteristics in the course of his misconduct. Rohde's conduct included, but is not limited to, instructing plaintiff to tell him, "I love you," or requiring plaintiff to hug and squeeze him for his own sexual gratification, conditioning grades or extra credit on plaintiff's compliance with these demands. Rohde's conduct was apparently widespread and impacted several students over a period of years. During the fall 2024 semester, Rohde brought the plaintiff, the Jane Doe plaintiff, McDonald's for lunch once a week, establishing a pattern of grooming behavior designed to create inappropriate emotional bonds with the plaintiff. Then he went on a voluntary break. While on a leave of absence, he called an unidentified coworker and left a voicemail instructing them to give plaintiff 50 points of extra credit because he had implemented a new policy in his classroom where students who said, "I love you," and allowed him to hug them were given extra credit. In the same voicemail, he referred to two individuals as, quote, rats and, quote, snakes, who had been allowed to run free in his classroom, which is an apparent reference to teachers or staff members who had witnessed his inappropriate conduct with students. The assistant superintendent, back in late April, early May, named Bryant Kelly, was put on administrative leave for his handling of the situation. And the handling of the situation was basically to close ranks and cover for Rohde. But then it started to circulate, certainly after the complaint filed. And parents started to have questions. And Dan Vosnos was at the tip of the spear on this. He addressed the school board meeting back then, saying the following in part.
I have a 7-year-old son named Ellis who has Down syndrome. He is a reason why I left education for the National Down Syndrome Society, and I cannot stay silent about what has happened in this district. A 15-year-old girl with Down syndrome, a student with limited capacity to self-advocate, to understand boundaries, to report what was being done to her, was allegedly subjected to calculated campaign of grooming and abuse by a teacher in this district. This is documented in a lawsuit that was covered by CBS. You guys know what happened here. I don't need to recap anything. Voicemails surfaced in late 2024, extra credit, unconditional affection, you name it. It's sick. And as a father, it breaks my heart. This is not a gray area. This is a documented failure to follow the law. I've obtained internal emails. I've combed through them, including one in which Brian Kelly is copied on, that this district moved to offer this teacher an early retirement buyout rather than report him, managing him out quietly. Let me be direct. Under Illinois law, mandated reporters who willfully fail to report suspected abuse are guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. And if this person acted to prevent discovery of abuse, to shield any person or entity from accountability, that's a class 4 felony. These are not hypothetical penalties, guys. These are laws in the state of Illinois, laws that I've worked to strengthen. I've worked alongside Representative Mussman on House Bill 4241 a few years ago, legislation that were to protect individuals with disabilities from this exact kind of predatory conduct. It passed the House here in Illinois unanimously. For some reason, it failed to get out of the Senate. I've thought about that failure many times since this case came to my attention. Representative Mussman has since confirmed in writing that this district did not follow state law and that ISBE has an open investigation. Last week, I met with my local senator to discuss next steps, including coming up with legislation, including mandatory background checks. The question before you tonight is not whether this happened. The question is what will this board do about it? Because Bryant Kelly has not been held accountable. The silence of this institution is being watched by legislators, advocates, and my community, and every family in this district. My son, Ellis, cannot advocate for himself the way other students and children can. Neither could this student at the center of this lawsuit. That is exactly why laws exist, and that is exactly why this board must act. Thank you.
For an update on this matter, please be joined by the aforesaid Dan Vosnos, former educator and athletic director, senior director of development for the National Down Syndrome Society. Dan, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So where do things stand now? I know these, the wheels of justice turn slowly. So a couple of months removed from the height of the public attention on this, where are things at?
Well, earlier this week at a school board meeting, Brian Kelly, the associate superintendent, director of our human resources, was fired for cause. So that is that's a good thing at this juncture. However, criminally, we are still in process of looking at criminal charges. I've been working with speaking with the Libertyville Police Department. I actually reached out initially to the Lake County State's Attorney's Office. Did it backwards. They pushed me back to Libertyville, and after I did so, more families have started to meet with the Libertyville Police Department at this time. So while Brian Kelly is no longer at the helm at Libertyville District 128, fired with cause, so no more salary. He still can receive his pension. And I know Bryant has a few years left to retirement, and that pension is well over 6 figures. So that's where things currently stand. Looking forward to keep pursuing these criminal charges, hopefully from a misdemeanor up to felony, so we can remove that pension.
More families have spoken to Libertyville Police. Does that mean there were more, potentially more victims here in the story at that school?
Yes. Yeah. There are more families are coming forward saying that they've reported over the years to administrators at the school district that there are other instances of grooming, other instances of potential sexual abuse. So more surfacing. Parents, families are becoming more comfortable coming to the table, meeting with authorities, and hopefully Libertyville will elevate this to the Lake County State's Attorney's Office for charges.
And is it all related to this teacher and/or associate superintendent?
Yeah, and other teachers as well. I'm aware of other teachers. Another teacher, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but was quietly retired this past year.
So what happened? Where do things stand with Parker Rohde? So that the teacher who's accused of grooming per that lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean Parker Rohde. I mean criminal charges. It's interesting for criminal charges for someone like Parker Rohde. That has to come from the family. And when you have a child with disabilities like I do, it is that child's word against the adult's word. So it's very challenging for criminal charges to be filed against an educator or an adult when you're dealing with someone vulnerable, when you're dealing with someone with disabilities, because they are the ones in the room with the police department and the officers and the detectives sharing their side of the story. And sometimes that side of the story, depending on that child's cognitive ability is, I really loved my teacher, right, at that point in time. So that's why criminal charges in these cases are hard. I am aware of, I believe this past week, the district did settle with the family. I'm not aware of the family, but I do know that potential litigation was filed from the family side of things for, I think, civilly. So I think that has been resolved. So again, on the taxpayer's dime, the district is paying out this family. But for Parker Rohde, I'm unaware of where he is in this world. I'm assuming he had 2 years left to retirement, so he'll be receiving his pension as well, and that's disappointing.
And so, I know from the coverage that the whole, the approach from the administration was to say to the family, we'll handle this internally. They didn't want to, as you said at the board meeting, they failed to abide their duty to report. But was it limited to the associate superintendent and this teacher, or are there other people that we should be talking about in terms of accountability, members of the school board, the actual superintendent, other teachers?
Yeah, no, there are other administrators. The current superintendent, I believe, inherited the situation. And last year around this time, I was able to FOIA a document, other families were able to FOIA a document that the current superintendent, they did an internal investigation on this matter. And I believe 4 other administrators that are all still employed by District 128 were within this memo saying that these individuals, as well as Brian Kelly, failed to report this one instance. So there's a culture problem there. I don't know what has happened to those other administrators. My hunch, my guess is they put a note in their file, right? And that's not right. District 128 tried to handle this matter internally. So that being said, a culture has been established in this district, and that's what we're trying to kind of go with the police department is this one instance, Brian Kelly failing to report this to DCFS by law is a misdemeanor. But if there is a pattern of not reporting, handling things in-house, that's felony, and those are felonies, and those administrators should be held accountable. So I can't speak to those other administrators. Who knows what? I do know, just from my foraying, that Brian Kelly was at the helm of this. Interesting to note here, Dan, Brian Kelly was a former athletic director at Libertyville High School. Parker was a track coach. Prior to Brian Kelly assuming the reins of being the athletic director, he was the head track coach, so worked with Parker. So there is, my hunch is that they had a relationship, and Bryant was trying to protect Parker at this time.
What about this? What about any evidence of requisite knowledge from school board members? I mean, this was a personnel matter, even if it was being handled in quote unquote handled internally. So you would think there would be some communication with the school board.
You would, and shockingly, Dan, the school board president last April or May, he quote unquote retired. And as you know, you don't retire from an elected position. You resign. And so his name eludes me at this time. But in, I believe, May or June of last year, the school board president, who'd been serving for over a decade,
he resigned midterm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gee, that's
so there
interesting.
You go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And you say more parents are coming forward. I mean, I assume you've spoken with some of them. Is there? I mean, if there are other victims of recent past, is this something that is going to percolate up into full public view at some point with more of these families coming forward?
I hope so. I hope this snowballs here. I mean, we need to shine a light in this district of what not to do. Right. Teachers and educators they receive training every year. We have state statute. We have state law here in Illinois to protect kids. We need to strengthen those laws when it comes to kids with disabilities. And that's something, I've got some meetings set up with some legislators to try to strengthen these laws and shine a light. But yes, I hope that more families, and if there are families listening on the other end here that have had, that have reported suspected abuse of their children in this district, to come forward to call the Libertyville Police Department, so we can make an example of what not to do when it comes to protecting students.
Dan Vosnos, former educator and athletic director, also senior director of development for the National Down Syndrome Society. Dan, thanks for joining us and updating us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Have a great day.
You too. And Dan Vosnos joined us in the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, it looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick. Put down that paintbrush and pick up your phone. Give Rhino Shield a call at 847-850-1132. Call now and receive 10% off the regular price, or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
For your 10% off, call now, 847-850-1132, or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny, new, gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix. And it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to Daniel DePetris, fellow at Defense Priorities, about Iran, Cuba, North Korea. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
8:31 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Our top story, massive flash flooding in Nepal, killing at least 22, 291 from other countries like India, the United States, United Kingdom, and Malaysia, all missing, many of those tourists. A river flooded early this morning, destroying villages and infrastructure. Officials are calling for help, emergency assistance from India and China for help with rescue efforts. NIPSCO says it hopes to have power back on in northwest Indiana to all customers this morning. The worst known company history outage caused by storms 2 weeks ago put 375,000 customers in the dark. This morning, about 600 remain without power. Country music legend Dolly Parton is being remembered for her legacy of charity. The American icon died at age 80 on Tuesday. Parton's death announced by her nephew, Brian Seaver.
Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest.
Fans will have a chance to celebrate Dolly Parton's life when her Broadway musical opens later this year. Senator Darlene Graham has won the Republican Senate primary runoff in South Carolina.
People are moving to South Carolina in droves to get away from the blue state policies of the Democratic Socialists.
She beat Ralph Norman. She'll face Democrat Annie Andrews. A private group is proposing express rail service between O'Hare and the old post office downtown. CEO Dave Lundy says business and railroad executives and engineers are behind the O'Hare Flyer.
This is going to be a 15-minute express train using battery electric technology, whisper quiet trains that will get you from downtown near the old post office to O'Hare.
Meantime, measles cases in southwest Wisconsin continue to increase. The latest update from the Wisconsin Department of Health says that number now stands at 61. Cubs lost to the Diamondbacks 5-4. Sox outslugged the Rangers 11 to 7. The news service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Gas prices in Chicago are riding like a roller coaster. They go up, and they come down. Well, they come down a little bit, but then they go back up again. AM 560 wants to help ease your pain at the pump. Listen each weekday afternoon at 12:30 and 5:30 for the lowest gas prices around Chicagoland. And if you see a low gas price, let us know. Just text the word gas to 312-642-5600, followed by the price and location, and we'll share it right here on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross, all made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
This hour is brought to you by Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson. Heard Sunday mornings from 8 to 9. Learn more at retirementdecoded.com.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Bridgeview, Harlem Avenue remains shut down both directions between 72nd and 65th. Right at 71st in Harlem, bad accident. SUV and semi still being cleaned up, still being worked on this morning. 8094, an accident on the exit ramp to southbound I-65. A crash is blocking the left lane of the exit to southbound 65 this morning, causing delays this morning as you're traveling eastbound on 8094, headed to Northwest Indiana, and a few of those people headed to Michigan. Reagan, I-88, eastbound between the Myers Toll and the Tri-State. There are big delays this morning. Jane Addams, eastbound I-90, jams at Meacham. An earlier accident on the Tri-State southbound at Bradley has left behind delays. Traffic, a service of Aleve. At some point, body pain will creep in and become your reality that day. But Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill gives you up to 12 hours of body pain relief. Don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. As always, use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Clouds and sun this morning, maybe a passing shower, then a thunderstorm this afternoon, and a high of 84.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Freedom Summit Chicago returns to the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 10th. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
You think you got it, oh, you think you got it, but got it, just don't get it till there's nothing at all. We get together, oh, we get together, but separate's always better when there's feelings involved. If what they say is nothing is forever, then what makes
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You see what I did there? Outcast. We're going to talk about Operation Economic Outcast. Do you see the... how is it being received in Tehran? Well, we've had a couple of individuals weigh in. The Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, the war must come to an end at some point. The leader of the parliament, no matter how much military power we have, if people are hungry, we don't have financial circulation, economic growth, and domestic production, we will not endure reports of gas shortages causing massive problems in Iran. We also have some positive news. I mean, that's not positive news for the Iranian people, but for the objective here. Positive news in that President Trump was informed by the Navy, reportedly, that all the mines have been removed from the Strait of Hormuz. And he then said Iran has been notified that any ship or boat placing new mines will be immediately and systematically destroyed. Through Space Force, we are watching every inch of the strait, as we are also with Pickaxe Mountain and the already destroyed 3 other nuclear sites. There's a zero-tolerance policy on mine placement in full force and effect. And as we've noted before, the reporting is that with the naval blockade and ostensible U.S. control of the strait, you do have oil tankers moving through the strait. And per the number of barrels that moved through the strait on Friday, almost to pre-war levels, reportedly. So, patience is the order of the day. Well, let's ask our friend Daniel DePetris, fellow at Defense Priorities and a syndicated foreign affairs columnist at the Chicago Tribune and Newsweek. Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
Should we take those statements from, particular Iranian opinion leaders, if you will, as well as the reporting on the situation in the Strait at face value?
Look, I mean, I think within the Iranian political system, there's a pretty big, slip and divide within them. That you have, I will call them pragmatists, moderates, whatever label you want to call them. But
it's all relative,
as you mentioned earlier, less extremist figures. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Iranian President Pezeshkian and the Iranian Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf. As you mentioned in the opening, they are very, very concerned about the state of the Iranian economy as a whole. I don't think Pezeshkian, for instance, really wanted the war to begin with. His job really as president is to make sure the Iranian people can live a decent enough life on a day-to-day basis. And obviously this war has completely gutted Iranian infrastructure. So there's no doubt in my mind that Pezeshkian and the people in the president's circle would like this conflict to wind down sooner rather than later. The problem, of course, is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has basically captured the state at this point and are making all the big decisions about when to escalate, whether to escalate, and whether it's pertinent to negotiate with the Trump administration to wind this down. So, Trump will take this as probably a sign that his strategy is working, just because the regime is not as unified as they publicly insist they are.
So at present, given what the president said and what appears to be happening, as I mentioned as I posited at the outset, is patience the order of the day? Is that the proper play for President Trump?
Well, I think that's exactly what he's going to try to do. I mean, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, of course, on Monday unrolled a long levy of economic punitive measures against the economy, targeting not only the oil industry and the banks, but pretty much any country that deals with the Iranians in any way, shape, or form financially. That's something that he rolled out on Monday. So I think the administration is definitely using patience, in addition to heightening, the depth and scope of the economic warfare campaign that they're waging against the economy. They hope, obviously, that this was going to bring the Iranians to some sort of a settlement on U.S. terms. I think that's still to be determined, obviously, considering the IRGC is running the show at this point. But I think the administration is certainly using patience as a strategy right now.
And some of our erstwhile Gulf state allies, immediately signed on to Operation Economic Outcast. Do we have the ability, in your estimation, to punish those countries that might otherwise try to surreptitiously support the Iranians? I'm thinking of Russia and China in particular.
Yeah, China's the big wild card here, right? I mean, before the war, China bought about 90% of Iran's crude oil, giving the regime billions of dollars they wouldn't ordinarily have. And that was under U.S. sanctions. So the Chinese have been buying crude regardless of U.S. economic penalties. We have the ability, certainly, to target Chinese financial institutions, and we've done that in a very limited way in the past. The question, I think, for Trump is, does he want to kind of overturn the apple cart here with the Chinese? Because he's got a summit coming up with Xi Jinping next month at the White House. And he's also got the trade truce that he signed with Xi last November. He would like that to stick before and after the summit. So the question is, what is Trump's higher priority here? Is it squeezing Iran into submission, or is it keeping the trade agreements with the Chinese afloat? It's a decision he's going to have to make. So it's not a question of will; it's a question of priority.
Returning to the Western Hemisphere. You wrote recently about Cuba, since we're running a couple of parallel tracks, and we've got the Donroe Doctrine in effect in this hemisphere. And Marco Rubio has been sort of routinely commenting on regime change in Cuba implicitly. And you wrote recently the U.S. must learn from that Trump needs to learn from this Iranian experience to date and not make the same mistake in Cuba. What do you mean by the same mistake?
Well, what I mean is basically just getting into a war that he doesn't need to fight. I mean, with respect to Cuba, we don't really need to go after Cuba militarily because they're such a weak country, and frankly, they can't even keep the lights on, right? I mean, they have massive blackouts across the country multiple times a week. So, I think Trump has made that conclusion. I think he's settled on a strategy where military options are on the back foot. I don't believe he's no longer viewing those as sort of the first, second, and third options on the table. He's using, the traditional carrot and stick approach that his predecessors have used, which is basically crank up the economic pressure on the Cubans and keep dialogue open with them, hoping that they open up economically and maybe change their political system. I think they will. I think they can open up economically. Politically, though, it doesn't seem to me the Cubans are particularly interested in implanting democracy on the island. We have 60-plus years of experience attesting to that. So the question, again, is what will Trump be willing to accept from the Cubans? Economic reform, political reform, or both, or something in between? Who knows?
So Rubio has really focused on Gaesa, which is this military-controlled business conglomerate that controls something on the order of half the Cuban economy, according to estimates I've read. Is there a way to bring, Canel and the old guard Castroists to heel by punishing Gaesa in a way that we haven't previously?
I don't think so, and I say that because we're punishing Gaesa right now. I mean, any entity, individual, or company associated with Gaesa is going to be sanctioned by the United States and blacklisted from the U.S. economy. And, the Trump administration has signed an executive order very early in its second term rolling out that policy. So we're doing that. The question is, is that pain going to be so bad and so strong to the point where Cuban political leaders actually decide to negotiate seriously with the United States? We can sanction the Cuban economy every day till the cows come home. That in and of itself is not going to, solve the problem. The problem is Cubans' resistance to U.S. demands, and if we can't get them to push in our direction, I'm not sure how much economic weight we can pull over there.
Is this the weakest Cuba has been since the Castro Revolution, though, with losing their Venezuelan ally and as you say, I mean, not even being able to keep the lights on anymore consistently?
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, I mean, when Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro were in power in Venezuela, they provided Cuba about 100,000 barrels of oil per day, and they didn't even charge the Cubans for it. It was basically an arrangement where the Cubans sent them intelligence officers and doctors in exchange for the oil. Obviously, with Delcy Rodriguez now in power and essentially aligning with Washington on a lot of the big items, Cubans are not getting that oil anymore. Mexico has stopped sending oil to Cuba, and the Russians have sent one tanker of oil in the last 7 months. So there's no question that Cuba is really standing with a limp. They're limping along every day, and they really have no good option but to either basically, keep doing what they're doing, and hoping that the United States basically just tires of its strategy, or accede to what Trump is asking for, which is a lot.
So patience is the order of the day from Trump's perspective here too, it seems.
I think so.
Little Rocket Man back in the news. Trump wants to have a rapprochement with Little Rocket Man. What's the play there?
That's a very good question, and I don't really have a clear answer for you. It's strange. Like Trump goes back to periodically. He goes back to meeting with Kim Jong-un, right? I mean, of course, he met with him 3 times during his first term. Which it was back then, it was a decision I supported just because Washington's North Korea policy has been an abject failure for 30 plus years. So I had no problem with Trump meeting Kim directly. I have no problem with Trump meeting Kim directly today. The question, of course, is whether he's actually serious in doing this or whether this is just one of his, Twitter outbursts.
Box checking exercise. Yeah.
Box checking exercise. And of course, just because you meet with the guy does not necessarily mean that you're going to get a deal that's favorable to what the United States wants. So again, I would be perfectly fine with him going over to Northeast Asia and sitting down with him again. Who knows if he's actually going to do that.
Daniel DePietro, fellow at Defense Priorities, syndicated foreign affairs columnist at the Chicago Tribune and Newsweek. Daniel, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you, Dan. Thank you.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking to refinance a home after a divorce, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Today, meet Lori, 50, social worker, score 650, income 90 G's a year. Call to refinance her mentally abusive ex-husband off the mortgage and title of their marital home per the divorce decree. Team Hochberg loan officer Anna Webdell helped Lori remove her ex-husband from the mortgage and title of the home, pay off debt totaling over $60,000, which included her attorney's fees, and saved her over $1,000 a month. Let's review. Team Hochberg loan officer Anna Webdell helped Lori remove her mentally abusive ex-husband from the mortgage and deed of the marital home, pay off all her debt, attorney's bills, and saved her over $1,000 a month. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643114.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-885-2929. That's 800-885-2929. 800-885-2929.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Mike Scott has been reporting on power supposed to be restored at Gary, Indiana after the storms a couple weeks ago, as soon as today. Mayor Eddie Melton of Gary went on Don Lemone's podcast to cry racism.
This is, to me, it feels like neglect. Do you think that some of that neglect comes from or is happening, if you feel that way? It may be in part because Gary is a black working class city?
100%. I believe that a couple things are at play here. During the middle of the restoration process, the utility company, and full transparency, 15 years, I worked for that company, so I know about the process.
You worked for a racist company?
They were releasing the updates of restoration. And Gary was not listed on that restoration list. Gary is the largest geographic footprint of a city that we have, not population-wise, but geographic footprint. And that was the moment that the extreme frustration came out from the public, because it would appear that we're being forgotten when you don't list out the actual restoration timeframe. So that's where all of the mayhem really started to get triggered on the ground level.
I don't think that's true that they weren't on the restoration list, number one. Number two, I mean, this is a powerful individual. Not only is he mayor of Gary, he was a former state senator. He was a former legislative leader for the Democrats. So if there were infrastructure issues, you've been mayor for 2 years, you were a state legislator before then, why didn't you address them on behalf of your constituents? Oh, and then there's this issue that interrupted the effort to restore power to Gary. The National Guard had to be sent in to protect repair crews after gangsters in Gary shot at utility vehicles. So the linemen said, we're going to take a little time out because we would prefer to not be shot while we're trying to restore power to the residents of Gary. So you know how a couple of bad apples can ruin it for everybody. So maybe that had a lot to do with it, and race had nothing to do with it. But I understand. I mean, especially if you go on Don Lemone's show, you're going to have to do your dance. You're going to have to do the race hustle. The less it actually exists, the more you have to invent it. I get it, Mayor Melton. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Appreciate the calls and texts. We'll be back with more wit and wisdom tomorrow. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
This is a Fox News alert. Meta makes a deal. I'm Carmen Roberts. The owner of Instagram and Facebook reaches a settlement with 29 U.S. states to pay up to $16.7 billion to resolve lawsuits accusing the company's social media platforms of harming children and teenagers.
Well, this is a huge win for making the internet safe for millions of kids.
Kentucky is among the states that sued, and Attorney General Russell Coleman tells Fox News the outcome is better than if they had won a settlement in court.
That's the remarkable aspect of this settlement. And that blackout from midnight to 6. This is common sense stuff that